a camera, a mic, out on the street chasing wrong from right. Eyes like fire burning through the haze. Truth is a weapon, cuts through the maze. Some call her trouble, some call her brave. Digging up secrets they tried to save. A real deal around town. She's breaking it down, spinning the wheel, exposing the sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her cry. Shadows, they curse her name. Afraid of the spotlight she brings to the game. But the grateful ones, they cheer in the dark for the spark she ignites in their weary hearts. Some call her danger, some call her hope. She's the thin line on the tightrope. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The sound. They despise her, they praise her, but she won't slow down. Real deal around town. The truth's her crown, yeah. The truth's her crown, yeah.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Real Deal. We're here again to talk about what's going on in this lovely town of Townsend, Massachusetts. And let's see, I'm going to get ready to do whatever it is we're doing here. If I can find it. There, no. Oh, well, anyways, I'm going to try to find this while I'm talking to you. I had it and then I removed it and then, oh, there it is. Okay. Just ignore what I'm doing here. There we are. Okay. I'm back. Okay. As you can see, we're going to be going over the last finance committee meeting in the town of Townsend. And I'm always talking about different things that are happening. And the budget is a really big problem. Nobody seems to be able to know how to figure out the budget. It's driving me crazy. And one of the boards, or I should say several of the boards that people just don't watch, is the finance committee. And they show their face at town meeting, and they provide a budget, or they vote on whether or not to support the budget that the selectmen have developed, and they really should be part of the development of the budget with the select board. And that seems to be a real problem here in Townsend. There seems to be a battle between the two committees, or the board of selectmen and with the finance committee. When things would go a lot smoother if they worked together. Things were so bad last year that members of the FinCom developed a separate budget. And to some that was cute, or yeah, let's look at maybe they could do this better. And no, it wasn't any better. In fact, it missed a lot of points, and a lot of folks were very confused by how can we have an alternate budget? We can't. We either have a budget or we don't. And there were so many different things in it, in both of them, but the alternate budget just missed the point of. I don't know that it was any more balanced. It was worse, I think, because some of the things that were in the alternate budget aren't things that go in the budget, believe it or not. But I just want to use this as an example of the chaos within the management of the town of Townsend, and one of the big management issues in the town. We have a lot of other things going on, as you know, but is the budget. And if we can't get the budget, we're really screwed. And there's a lot of things that I'm going to be covering over the next few months is to show, hopefully the select board and the FinCom needs to watch my videos so that I can go over some of the things that you need to pay attention to, because they're the things that are really driving the problems with the budget. And I promise you, my analysis of the budget will not be going into the weeds like I'm going to show you that the finance committee just can't seem to stop doing. There's so much work to do in their area of responsibility. And what I show you in this meeting, 99.9% of what they're going to talk about is just in the weeds. It is outside of their area. We need to know where this is all leading. And I'll show you that they're just getting picky about and asking questions about literally a couple of dollars. And it's mind-boggling. And a lot of people in communities are involved with their town government, or have been, or maybe they ran for the hills afterwards. I don't know. But so some people, I'm sure some people that watch my channel follow either Townsend or follow other towns' finance committees and board, the city councils or boards of selectmen or aldermen or whatever you got going there. And sometimes it is confusing. A lot of people don't watch a lot of the finance stuff because it's confusing. What are they talking about? You just don't understand the principles, and which is okay. The public, it's hard for the public to get a grasp of what is happening. And when you see some of the things I'm going to be showing you in this video, it's disturbing to the public because they really think this is real. And these are the things that you need to worry about. And they're not. Most of 99% of what this board was talking about, you don't need to worry about. They don't need to worry about it. And the public doesn't need to worry about it. You need to worry about the big picture. And the things, the trends. Where's the budget going? What is causing, is the budget out of control? Which, I believe it or not, I'm going to tell you it's not. The concept of understanding it, I think, is lost partially with the Board of Selectmen. They're not quite there either. They're not quite sure how to get there. Nobody knows how to analyze the budget. None of them. And neither board are really doing it. The select board looks kind of at the bottom line and thinks it's all about everybody gets to raise their budget 2.5%. How come we don't have any money? Well, that's a false statement. Everybody gets to raise their budget 2.5%, because here in Massachusetts we have Proposition 2.5. That means you can't increase taxes above your last year's levy by any more than 2.5%. That is not defined by everybody gets to raise their budget by 2.5%, because there are other things that happen to a town's budget from the levy to get to how much you can actually spend, because there's additions and subtractions that happen to your levy prior to developing your budget. And your levy does not just jump over, this is how much we can put in our budget. Your budget includes, or the determination of your budget includes some of the additions and subtractions. And I know I just lost a lot of people. But, and some budgets just can't be dealt with at the 2.5% level anyway, even if that were true. It's not that far off, but it's just not exactly true. There's other things that go into this, and there's impacts that really crush the budget. But you need to look at both the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, the FinCom. FinCom is short for Finance Committee, for those that aren't quite sure. But both boards need to look at what things are within their control and what things are not. And the things that really are the pressures on departments, on what their budget, what they have to do with their budget in order to function. And not just in order to function, but to function within the law regarding their departments. The highway department can't just stop plowing snow. They need to do potholes, and they need to plow snow. They also need to put salt. It's not salt or sand. It's a chemical that they put down on the roads. It's commonly referred to by lay people as salt. It's not. I can't remember the name of it, but they change it around. But there's chemicals that they put in the back of the trucks and lay out. It's kind of got a liquid to it, kind of, but you can't. The Board of Selectmen back in March had said they're going to only treat the roads between normal business hours. So between 8 and 4, Monday through Friday, they will do whatever they need to for storms. If there's a storm at any other time, you're just going to have to wait till Monday to go anywhere. It's kind of insane. But we have a legal responsibility for safety of the roads. If the town decides to not plow the roads, then I think there's a legitimate lawsuit. Legitimate. It's not even questionable. There's a reason. When we all got a driver's license in Massachusetts, at least when I did, it's whether the roads are safe or not, they tell us is our responsibility. If the conditions tell us that we really shouldn't be driving in the middle of a snowstorm, then we need to do that. We're responsible. But if the town refuses to provide any of those services, there's a limit to our responsibility. We have the right to have some assumption, right? Some assumption. And even public safety vehicles would not be able to drive if the highway department stopped plowing the roads. So when we go to budgeting, when the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee start looking at the budget, they can't just decide we're going to cut the highway department beyond their ability to provide for their responsibilities to the public that are required by law. They can't do that. So this is ridiculous. So they're not planning that right now, I don't believe. I'll be getting into the highway department in another video. Don't worry. Don't worry, highway department. I'm not targeting you. I like my roads. Thank you. But anyway, so when both boards are looking at the budget, they have to look at the reasonableness of what's moving forward. What do they have to do? And what things are costing more money because of that is going to exceed what the select board believe is this 2.5% limit. You can't limit town departments below the requirements. And I'll go back to the highway department for a moment. I think they're easier to discuss than public safety, where everybody wants to talk about public safety, but highway, many people think highway should be under public safety. And I think sometimes it is, but because that is where the rubber meets the road, right? So, or doesn't, if there's snow and ice there. But if, which we're going, the highway department right now already has been purchasing the chemicals and the sand needed to get us kicked off in winter. As it's the beginning of November, the roads we're going to start having condensation, if we haven't already, condensation on the roads, even if we don't have precipitation, rain, snow. There's condensation that happens overnight, and it gets on the road, and it can create some black ice. They're paying attention to that kind of stuff, and they will go out and treat the roads, or even pre-treat them, depending on what time. If there's any rain or snow overnight, in particular, they will be ready for it, because our temperatures will drop overnight and whatnot. But anyway, I'm getting into highway ops. But the budget, I'm getting into the weeds now. But the highway department, when they're purchasing the salt and sand and stuff, the prices are not the same as last year. And there's a number of reasons for that. The first problem is the actual cost of materials. And whatever prices whoever they're buying it from is providing. And some of that is associated with transportation costs, getting it to Townsend, because Townsend doesn't go pick it up at the hardware store. They go either, I'm pretty sure it's delivered in probably large dump trucks, the big dump trucks, and they drop them off. I'm pretty sure. I haven't really paid that close of attention. That's really getting into the weeds that I really don't need to know. Select board is about the only people that ought to, to understand highway operations. Maybe the liaison for the highway department should be going over there and saying, what's this all about? Just a hint, but not anybody else. But you have to understand how costs are developed. And everything's going through the roof right now. And especially when we add tariffs, I don't know where some of this stuff is coming from. So the things that the highway needs, that is going to increase the costs of them doing their legally required job. And it may exceed what the select board are setting as this 2.5 limit on increasing their budget. At the same time, whatever their salaries are, and salaries will go up. It's not just you're setting salaries to go up, but the longer people work here, they go up a step on top of getting whatever raise that is negotiated with the unions. And they're in union negotiations right now. So you can't just say, you can't go above 2.5%. You can't just look at the whole budget and say, we got to keep the budget under 2.5%. You want to say that, and you need to understand and be able to communicate, speak to people about these mandatory increases that can't be cut back because of the actual on the ground cost increases. Nobody's doing anything wrong in these departments. They're doing their job, and for the most part, I have no information about departments not doing their job, but they're doing their job. They're doing it well, but the costs are going up. The cost of doing their job. Oh, and then gasoline. Some of highway has gas and diesel, but those prices, I don't know what the prices are right now. Where the town gets it, we have our own little gas station over in the highway department where the town purchases gas, and I don't know what those prices are. So I don't know what our cost is on per gallon. So I don't know that we can compare it to wherever your favorite gas station is. But these are costs that you need to understand the overarching. What is the trend? What kind of things are being added to this last year's budget? How much is things going up without anybody doing anything unsavory. They're not sneaking extra money into the budget. They're not being smart about spending. And there are things that I don't think any one of us as residents in this town, and probably most towns, want our highway department to skimp. We want to see more things done to our road. Usually people complain about the roads all the time. I haven't heard as much lately because I actually think our highway department is doing a pretty good job. Quite an improvement over years ago. And a lot of the work they do is invisible. As long as the potholes that you on the roads you go down are okay, then complaints kind of stay low. They pick up in the winter. That's when the complaints start, especially when we get towards spring and you get frost heaves and the potholes start kicking out. But I think we understand we can only do so much. But that if our leadership, and I'm going to say the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom, can get their act together and be able to look at these things and present it to the townspeople in a cohesive, understandable manner. Hey, we can't. We're stuck here. And I'm going to even bring up that word that everybody hates, override. When we see if we can present, first of all, understand how budgets really work and where the increases are coming from, then you can present things smartly. Otherwise, and then if you've got these big ticket items that you want to purchase, you need to look at them as some kind of ratio of the budget. You can't buy things, including almost every capital expenditure, needs to be reviewed as it applies to whosever budget is looking at that. Where are we going to get the money for a capital? And you have to, both the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen need to be on top of sources of, not just sources of revenue. Well, you need to be on top of sources of revenue, but you also need to be on top of what are my options on buying something. If we vote on it at town meeting to just put it in the budget, that means you got to spend maybe $100,000 all of a sudden out of the budget. Where's that coming from? And a lot of times they just want to throw it into free cash or throw it out of free cash, but then in the meantime, they don't have money for something else that's important when there's other options. If you have I don't know why my phone's ringing. Spam, potential spam. How about that? I got to get them out of here. So, like if you're buying a truck, if you're going to buy something that's $100,000, most, especially where our budget is this tight, if the town is not amicably looking for an override, you know that they're going to fight. You haven't been presenting anything logically, and people are so pissed off at you that they're going to say no to any override you present. But they understand needing a truck for something. It depends on the truck, but you got to do it to debt exclusion, like deferred. It is deferred, a debt exclusion, and I like to call it a temporary override because that's exactly what it is. But you're only increasing taxes that much for the period of time that you need to pay the loan, and that is calculated through whoever's getting doing the loan. It would be, that information would be presented. That's not some secret thing. But the treasurer's office would take out a loan, and it can't exceed the lifetime of the loan, of the piece of property that we're purchasing. They've been playing games with our debt, and I'm not going to cover it tonight, but I'm going to go over the town's debt picture, which is another critical element. But they need to be able to say, we can buy these things that if you absolutely determine we need them, and then you have to be able to present to the town in a way that makes sense. That's the job of both boards. Both the select board and the FinCom need to be able to do that in some common sense fashion that's understandable. First, it has to be understandable to them. And that's where I'm going tonight with the Finance Committee. They don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand the limits of what they're trying to do and how ineffective what they're doing in this meeting is that they need to come up to a much bigger picture. And it's not the weeds that they're trying to decipher. So I'm tired of talking right now. So I'm going to start this meeting and I'm going to do my usual interrupting and giving my commentary. Let's see. Oh, let me put that on. That's useless. Okay. Yeah. I'll get it. I got to find the right picture. Okay, now let me. How do I get that one? I'll get it. There it is. All right, let's play.
Good evening, this is Tuesday, October 28th, calling the Townsend Finance Committee meeting to order at 7:01 PM. Roll call, attendance please.
Carol Hoffs is present, Gerald Mazik is present, Mary Jane Churchville present,
Kathleen Spofford present?
Dan Grant present. Don Hayes present. That is 6 out of the 7 members, so we have a quorum. We are good to continue with the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. It will be played back on the local channels, either 8 or 9, and it will be available on the Townsend YouTube channel also. At this time, is there anyone else recording this meeting? Nothing being heard. It violates the open meeting law if you are recording it and you didn't speak up, so we will assume that nobody is recording.
Okay, I have to address this. They're about to have a conversation about this, and I have to tell you that he's really mostly wrong. But I'm going to let him finish, and I will tell you what is so wrong about what he's trying to say here.
And we're not violating open meeting law.
we would be violating.
No, they would be.
What if they're regular people, they would be violating?
Yes, if they don't announce it, it's a violation of the open meeting law. That was something I picked up in the training.
Really?
That we had, yeah.
So how do they penalize a resident? Or is
Yeah,
it-
yeah, if somebody records it and posts it and sends things around and it wasn't from the official recording, it was from their recording, that's the violation would be written against them.
Oh,
Yes,
interesting.
we would have.
That's where he's wrong. The open meeting law says that what a person, like, I'll use myself as an example. If I go to a meeting and I start recording, I'm supposed to, it doesn't have to be during the meeting, but anybody who's recording, you're supposed to notify the chair at least either prior to the meeting or during this time of a meeting when they are asking that question. And the open meeting law says you're supposed to do that. And it also goes on to say the reason this is there is regarding the placement of equipment, recording equipment, so as not to interfere with the ability of the board to conduct their business. And I wish the state would make amendments on this, and they're in the middle of amending the open meeting law, and unfortunately this section was not included in the changing of it, but it's put in there years ago thinking that, like, big TV stations, if you've ever seen the TV stations of years ago, they would have this god-awful equipment coming in that takes up half the room. And sometimes, the equipment can be unwielding to do your thing. Sometimes it's in the way. You can't move around. There's not room for the public to come in, depending on the size of the room. The room that these people are in right now is the small room. So that would be really difficult to have, okay, where are you going to put the camera equipment? And that's really why this law was put into place. And it spells that out in the open meeting law, that the reason for this is about the equipment. It is not about the rights of the individual to record. And I want to also say that there are no consequences if somebody comes to a meeting and they don't answer, or they don't report, they don't tell the chair in advance or during the meeting that they're recording. There's no consequences. The open meeting law is very clear, and it doesn't give any punishment. There is no, they can't throw you out of the meeting. They can't get a no trespassing order. They can't they can call the cops on you if you want, but the cops will educate the board and say she has the right to record. And even if they said, well, she violated the open meeting law because she didn't tell us in advance, the police are going to say, well, there's no consequence. There's no punishment. There isn't, you do this, there's a punishment, and there isn't one. So, and that is where, when you back up to federal law doesn't require that. Federal law allows you to film public officials conducting their duty. And there's no announcement. If I'm in the room, everybody knows I'm recording because I'm holding the camera up. My phone is held up on a tripod. This is acceptable under federal law and any First Amendment and civil rights case law, that there's no, that anybody, me or the next guy, has absolutely every right. And if you arrest somebody for that or take any kind of action against that person, you're violating their civil rights. And there's been plenty of case law on that. The other thing he talked about is, we could file an open meeting law complaint against anybody who does that. Well, who are you going to send that to? You cannot, there is no provision whatsoever in Massachusetts to file an open meeting law complaint against a member of the public. It just is not possible. The only people that can be filed, the open meeting law only applies to members of boards and committees. That is clear in the law. And even if you look at the form, if you were, theoretically, if they were going to, I wasn't at this meeting, so this is a Towns video. If I were doing this and they were going to file an open meeting law complaint against me, okay, where are you going to send it? There are steps to follow that's very much described. You have to, it would be against a town. It has to be against a town. So if the FinCom would have to write an open meeting law complaint against the town of Townsend, and they have to write whatever board or committee was violating the open meeting law. And they would just say my name, and then is there any individual that you're complaining about? And they would put my name, and then they would put the date. But the Attorney General, they have to notify the chair of the committee, which would again have to be me, which I'm not a committee, I'm a private citizen. And then they have to send, then allegedly, if I felt that the open meeting law applied, I would have 15 days to call to a meeting of my committee and put it on the agenda and discuss the complaint and determine a response, and then supposedly send my response back to the complainant, and then also send a copy to the Attorney General, which I would never do. Somebody did. Actually, Veronica Kell tried to file an open meeting law. I think she didn't fill it out. No, I think there was some question about that. Oh no, I think that might have been a public record request. Never mind. But if somebody did that, I would just ignore it because it doesn't apply to me, and you can send me these forms all day long and I'll just ignore it because there's no consequence if I did. So then after, if you complain about somebody's open meeting law complaint, they have 15 days to respond. Of course I wouldn't respond. So, and then if you want to, after 30 days, you would forward it again to the Attorney General for them to make a determination. Well, we never heard from Cindy. She violated the open meeting law and we complained and she just ignored us. But it's been 30 days, so make a determination. It would take no time at all for the Attorney General to say either the form's incomplete or there's no jurisdiction. The Attorney General has no jurisdiction. They have no authority to go after a private citizen who was doing something that they have the constitutional right to do. And this is one of my concerns with the open meeting law, is that it's not clear enough on this issue. But someday, maybe I'll write to them, I don't know. Someday they'll fix it. But they need to be more clear, because there's no punishment, and they don't have authority. The open meeting law does not have authority over private citizens anyway. It says that into the open meeting law, but they can't, there's no authority for anybody to have any kind of consequences. And that's just how it is.
Do that, but that's just.
Yeah, I shall come and take you away to South Salvador. Well, to be is really high on the list.
Okay, next item on the agenda, September, that would be,
September 23.
Oh, I didn't know the date, sorry.
Yeah.
I just looked.
Make a motion to accept September 23rd. Minutes.
I'll second. Okay, you got a second.
okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other comments on the minutes? None being heard, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? Passes unanimous. Everybody was unanimous. Item 6, discussion on restructuring committee.
Didn't we already do this?
No, we did that, but we want to make sure everything is good,
Okay,
confirmed.
okay.
Actually, we wanted to do that because we were worried about you.
I have been, other than a few things, and I was busy, my computer has been down. And
Oh,
so it's kind of like, so I've been very quiet. I just got it back and up and running. I have not even logged in to my FinCom account, so I suspect there's quite a bit of backup in there.
Oh, okay.
So I apologize for that.
Okay,
These days, with
so
computers,
you want to continue?
we can continue as we are.
Okay.
And like, if everybody is good with that. it's like-
Yeah, we just were worried about you because we hadn't heard and
Mhm.
nothing came through.
Right, and I haven't even come up then to visit anybody in town hall. It's kind of like, so.
Right, you were like, where was it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was some personal
Oh,
things.
yeah,
and-
yeah,
Yeah, it's,
so you're good.
and I should, yeah, it's kind of like, because I know I do owe, some things, and it's not specific to this, but, so it's kind of like, and I'm just looking to see if it's someone, we'll get to it. It's kind of like, I haven't even emailed in time to get with Board of Health to, work on their numbers.
Oh,
I had presented them something that they kind of, and I haven't been able to get back to it.
so you're back now. You're-
Yeah,
you're on.
computer's up and running, it's booting now, I can access things, and things that were destroyed and missing there have been reconstructed.
Okay. All right, that's good to know.
Okay, so at this point, there is no action to be taken, we're gonna continue. It is, okay, next item, report from Carol Hofstas on the MMA Finance Committee meeting.
Did you enjoy it to begin with, Richard?
for the most part, the commute was not great, but for the most.
Carol,
Sorry.
So we can get on and.
But, yeah, Cindy
Really?
King was there.
Okay,
Oh, good.
Oh, she was?
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
she attended. Overall, it was pretty good. I met a lot of different people from different towns, so, so that was a good part of it.
That's always good.
Yeah, finding, how all the other, everybody's woes.
So it's just very similar to ours, right?
In some cases, yes, some cases, no.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, combination between small towns and big cities.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, there was, yeah, so, yeah, basically there was this guy from the state. Got up and talked about, state aid and how, how the, the lack of state aid, I should say.
Oh,
And talked about,
You mean for the towns?
yeah, state aid in that Massachusetts, is lagging behind most of the country in providing state aid to their cities and towns.
Oh, well, it's a reason, did he give a reason?
They don't get into, no, they don't get into reasons, but they said that they were probably the lowest, one of the very lowest in providing state aid to their cities and towns. They were very bad.
and a lot of
Yeah.
unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
Unfunded mandates?
And so that was,
Unfunded mandates.
That's normal for the state.
Yeah.
but anyways, so that was just a very short little blurb going over, don't expect a lot of state aid coming your way, basically. So then, because you're not gonna be getting a lot of state aid, then, you need to think about where you're doing your finances, how that's gonna play into it.
Does that mean for the schools too and the transportation?
Everything.
Basically, schools and transportation.
But everything.
They just cut out, what program did they just cut out for people, not Shine, but.
Oh, the
Staff.
Snap
Oh
program.
my God, that's.
Well, but that's.
That's federal, but nonetheless.
Federal funded,
Federal.
and there is
Yeah.
some reimbursement
That's criminal.
from the state, yeah.
Well, Shine and Wicked Kids.
Yeah.
Because those are.
Now, there were a couple of tracks. Did you go to the finance?
I went
101 or?
Yeah, then I had a little talk on federal funding updates to Massachusetts
Okay.
and how the federal government is probably withholding some funds from the state, so then the state has to do something with that. But then again, somebody during that, somebody from a community that I guess did not approve the MBTA act, got up and said, well, the state's withholding funds from us because we didn't comply.
Oh, really?
So anyways, those are just short little things. And then I did the budgeting 101 workshop
Mhm.
and
Was that helpful?
it was somewhat helpful, but the whole point of it was I forget what GFOA stands for. But this GFOA provides a distinguished budget award
Or to organization?
to
Hmm.
towns. And then they went through the 15 best practices. So in order to get this award, you have to do these 15 best
Oh, let's
practices.
do that.
And
Doesn't that sound fun?
but, during this whole thing, some of it applies, you have your financial policy documents and then your bylaws. And he did point out one good thing. He said, when you're going through like free cash and, some towns have policies and I didn't really look at our policy. I know we have in bylaws. But he says, usually in the bylaws and policies, there's something in there about how much free cash can be spent in stabilization. And he says, follow those policies, he says, don't let the town get up and vote all year, Really?
Oh, no.
So it's like, if your policy says, 10% free cash, then that's it. Then you can get up at town meeting and say, our policy is, we're following our policy and this is what we can do.
That's,
So-
I was gonna say, just recently, I started to jot down, and that's some of the things that I said, free cash. We haven't talked about, what do we do with free cash? X% goes to stabilization, X%
Yeah.
goes to capital stabilization.
Right,
X% goes
Do
to,
we have a policy?
we don't, and
Oh.
so I don't believe we have a policy
So that's
for,
something we should talk
Like,
about.
on budgeting policy.
Yeah.
We should get a little
Well, we
bit
should
more.
review the policies we have and the bylaws we have,
Yeah.
to see if we need to tweak them. Because we do
Well-
have a policy and we do have bylaws, so we just need to.
We
tweak
do, it's kind of like, the budget policy.
But Carol, where's that list of things that you,
Yeah,
best practices?
practices, you said there were.
I can,
15? Oh.
I'll send you the slides.
Oh, okay, that'd be great, yes.
Yeah. And then I did not go to the healthcare budget one,
That's very good.
Hmm.
and I didn't go to the Taylor 2 or 3 overrides. I went to the revenue and expenditure forecast.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them. Like 4 or 5 overrides.
We have
That's
the
because you lived it.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to the revenue and expenditure forecasting, which I sent you in
Oh,
the
yeah,
email.
yeah.
Because I thought that was helpful, because they were talking about a 5-year plan, and I did send you the spreadsheet. But this was Arlington, because the speaker was from Arlington, and he kind of did the 5-year spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And he's got and I did send it out, it's got the list of columns, and like he said, you got 2.5%, it's gonna go, down. So you can do it, though our select board doesn't like to do it, but,
Hmm.
But why can't we do it? Just because they don't
Yes.
We
want to do
can,
it.
yeah, I think
You
that's
know.
something we.
I mean, that's been recommended for a while.
It's been
Yeah,
recommended for a
that's
while.
better.
For a while.
I-
Something?
I have,
Almost before my daughter.
I have forwarded
Oh.
copies to
14.
the past two, town administrators in Scott Nowhere, so it's kind of like, well.
yeah, so
Red
why,
flagged.
So
so he just went through this, basically this 5-year spreadsheet and had the list of categories in the,
What's on the other side? Is
it's
that
got like,
more
all the
explanation?
yeah.
Detail.
detail, but, so I thought this was worthwhile,
Mhm.
when he was going through this. And I said, yeah, it's not that hard. It's just basically collecting the data and just populating it. But
Yeah, I mean, you've got your contracts, what's the raises for,
Well,
department heads, what's the raises for the secretary union, what's the firefighter union, what's the police union? Put those percentages in, add them, and you know what your increases are.
yeah,
they want it all.
We can get there, and then if it's more than 2.5, that means your expenses can't go up by as much as
Is there a
2.5.
program at DLS that we can use, or is that?
no, this was,
DLS has one.
does the DLS have one?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the
Well,
Arlington, the guy from Arlington, this was his spreadsheet,
but that's a good.
because he gave the path, so this is all Arlington's money.
Yeah, so it,
Well, there's a lot of
pretty
info.
self-explanatory too. It's
Yeah.
Pretty clear.
Yeah, it's not hard to read.
It's not.
Wow, that's good.
It's not bad at all, yeah.
so we can, and I'll just add in because I Googled it here. The GFOA is Government Finance Officers Association. So it's just an organization.
Yeah, it's not a,
It's another organization like MMA, like
Yeah,
the,
but wouldn't it be nice if we got a distinguished award that we could send them?
Yeah.
when we implemented what Collins had done for us, we did get an award for that.
Really?
oh, you did,
So
okay.
if we go back, but it's been long.
Okay, I think, I realized I had an audio problem. I've been talking to myself here. I didn't have the mic on for myself, so I made a lot of comments and nobody heard them. But right now, I'm gonna talk about this award that they're talking about. The focus on the presentation that Carol was talking about had nothing to do with, well, it was John Kader, the town administrator for Ashburnham, who's a rock star when it comes to finance, he gives this presentation, which he's been given annually at the FinCom meetings for more than a decade, is about the best practices that towns should follow, all towns should follow to have their budgets make sense and help the towns. And when he gives his presentation, he gives it from the standpoint of the GFOA award, because he wins it in most of the time, and he really loves it. So, but he teaches this course or this presentation from the area of the award for best practices, and he goes down the points that you need to do in order to win the award. But the point of it is not about the award. It's about, here are the best practices, and getting wrapped around the axle about winning an award is not helpful. But focusing on the presentation, which was about the best practices, that's where things need to be discussed. And also, they were talking about the 5-year plan. I know I just talked to myself on that a minute ago, but the 5-year plan can be done by the FinCom. It can be done. I'm going to be sitting down in my spare time and figuring it out myself, but you have to go backwards to go forwards. And I'll be looking at the past 5 years and following the trend. And you have to determine what the expenses are, or the cost of doing business for each department. And using the highway as an example, you can easily trend them. I already started doing that. I actually picked on the highway department, actually, is looking at the snow and ice reports for the last 5 years and following the trend now. What are they spending on salt and sand and the equipment that they need? And what are the costs? We hire a lot of guys from contract with other people to help plow our roads. And what are those costs? And then what's, fuel costs, and what has been the trend going up? And you can easily see, you can come up with the next few years anyways, and a 5-year plan is always adjusted anyway. But what's the trend? What it cost going up? And we always know it's going to snow and it's going to rain ice and throughout the winter. So you know that you can't just ignore it. And which this town has been trying to do. They've not been the least bit smart about planning for what the snow and ice costs are. So, but anyway, yes, the FinCom can do a 5-year plan, but they have to do it in conjunction with the select board. It makes no sense for 2 different 5-year plans. They have to agree. And they need to agree also on establishing policies on how to move forward with the budget. And the presentation that John gave at the ATFC meeting needs to be shared with, the select board needs to understand that as well. And I was disappointed that no one from the select board went to this meeting. I knew my mic wasn't working when I said this. I'm deeply concerned and very unhappy that the only person from the finance committee that went to the ATFC meeting was Carol Hofsis, the woman on the left, and nobody else went, although for years, well, it's probably been 5 years since hardly anybody went, but the entire FinCom used to go every year. It was like a big day out, but very informative and very helpful, and it's just a shame that they didn't go. Really, I'm really upset about it, because it's really good. It will be clear that they didn't go. It's why some of the reasons our finances are so screwed up, because nobody's been educated on how to do their job.
Yeah, we need another one.
We need a refresh.
And
on that.
and that's kind of evidence that we're doing our
No,
job, that we're
definitely,
paying
yeah.
attention,
Yeah.
that we care.
Yeah, there were, when Owens had developed it for us, you would have the 5-year look back as well as a 5-year look forward. So you could see historically what was actual and where you thought you were heading.
Very interesting, Carol.
Overall, it was good.
Would you recommend it for others, or go again if they had different?
If they had different
Topics.
topics, I hated the write down. I
No, but we
pray,
would never let you go again.
I pray,
No.
I pray that because I have such trouble with my phone. When I do GPS,
Oh,
the maps come up, but the voice doesn't always come up.
yeah, so you can't.
I can't look at the map, and I just pray. I said, oh, please voice work, because I gotta go down.
Saint Christopher.
And I do. I actually carry a medal with me.
There
all
you
the
go.
time.
So you're good.
But it worked, because I went 495, because that's when I Googled it. And, but once you get off 495, you gotta take all these twists and turns to get there. But then when I went to come home, I plugged it in, and the voice came, but because I didn't really know where it was, so it was taking me all these down streets, and I ended up on 95 and going home 95, which was horrible because the traffic was like.
Traffic is always.
And I think I was at the Braintree split where you gotta go left.
Yeah.
It's-
If you went down there, you could have gone to IKEA.
Oh, yeah.
But do they have it at the same place every year, do you know?
This, I think Sharon's pretty comfortable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the directors or the board members all seem to come from that area.
Yeah, I know.
The South Coast is pretty, yeah,
Since where it's from,
it's all the whole state.
the whole state, why?
Yeah,
is it more thick?
Actually,
yes, we're like on
the-
one
It's like
side.
Burlington or
Yeah.
something.
There was a couple of ladies from Chesterfield, and I said,
Yeah, where are you?
Way west.
way west.
So did they spend the night or did they get up at 4 o'clock?
They got up at 5.
Yeah.
They left at 5.
Yeah,
Wow.
Mass Pike all the way in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's.
They're
not bad
most of the
road,
way
right?
there because
I bet
that's
it's a beautiful ride.
Oh, yeah.
Depends.
So what's gonna happen with, are we gonna get the are we gonna have the handbooks again, or did anything change?
Well, I didn't look, they didn't say.
Did they
All the-
highlight the
No.
change?
Yeah, if they've updated, we should probably take a look. We've got the QR code. We should be able
I
to
sent
download.
them
You sent it to us,
Yeah,
right?
I did, but if
Yeah.
you wanna, I brought that in case.
Keep it on the mainframe.
But,
Yeah.
So
but I did
so
send the.
we can have
copy
a
out.
soft copy, but that would be the thing. Do we want to get the file? Did they say you could
Really nice.
print it?
Well,
Was there any?
well, I mean, I could print it from my.
But it's 167.
But I'm not gonna print it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like last time we printed and it seemed to be a pretty decent break at 10 copies.
You mean for
there was-
paying the
To pay
$40,
to print it,
yeah.
to pay.
Right.
No,
But are they gonna come out with a 2026?
it seems like it's 4 years. The one that was
Oh.
just out was 2021.
Oh,
Yeah.
then we should update it, I think. I really do.
Right, yeah, that was the thing. Because that was the first one we printed, they gave us the 2017 and the 2021, so that gets that at 4.
What's really making my head scratch right now is every single one of these people have a copy of the FinCom handbook. That's what they're referring to. They all have received it electronically. The state sends it out. Everybody that attended the FinCom meeting or the ATFC meeting got a copy electronically of the FinCom handbook. And now they're acting like they don't have it. I know for a fact that everyone in that room received a copy of the FinCom handbook. I sent it to them myself. And I don't know, they're acting like they've never seen it before. And now they're going to be talking about printing it. In nowadays, what are you going to do when you print it? It's going to go it's going to be thrown in a drawer. They're not going to read it. I don't think they've read the last one they got. And it's also not cost effective. They don't have you're going to hear that they don't have it in the budget. They don't have the money in the budget. They're going to do it anyway. And they're going to make 10 copies. And they want to give a copy to Nelson. Well, Nelson has a copy. I gave him one. I even gave the Board of Selectmen a copy too. So, but printing it, if they, in my opinion, the FinCom should not be wasting our money like this. If any of those individuals want a printed copy, they can print it on their printer at home. If they're really, they can use the town's printer. I mean, it's a lot of pages, but which 90% of the pages, they're never going to even read. And it's just, what a waste of money. And when we get to them talking about how they're going to pay for it, I'm going to interject yet again.
What you're saying,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, and now you've got.
So now we have 2025, 26, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should,
No, I think it should be printed.
should I make a motion?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a
I got it
motion.
on the computer, but it's not easy to read that way.
But can we use, do we have funds?
We have our dues. Thank you, Kathy. We have the dues and
Membership?
membership line. We have only spent 201.
What about my $65?
And your $65.
And I totally think this is completely inappropriate for those budget line items. Don, who's the chair of the FinCom committee, is talking about expending money from line items that do not include office supplies or printing, or it's dues and membership fees, which is the town's, the groups that they belong to, mostly the ATFC, and even actually even attending the ATFC meeting, it doesn't sound like they have a line item for that. I have to look at the budget because they should. Jesus, when I was the chair, I made sure there was enough money in our budget to send everybody to the ATFC meeting, as well as send someone to the MMA annual conference, which is an excellent thing. And I mean, I wanted to go. And if other people wanted to go, I was willing to pay out of my own pocket. And nobody else was interested in ever going to that, but which I think is the best conference for any town person to go to. But they're misusing funds right now. They're going to, apparently, Don, maybe he did this last year too, to use dues and membership money to print something that really the taxpayer shouldn't be paying to print this. They have an electronic copy. Everybody today has a phone. Even if you're going to look at it on a phone, you can zoom in, or you have a computer, or you have an iPad, or all of the above. And this is just, talk about, I think this is, I was upset last year, and now I'm upset again. This is a waste of our money to be printing this for the individual members to have a printed document that they're probably never going to read.
So it's kind of, so at this point, if we take that $65 out, it's a.
That's the bailiff's
Oh,
$85.
FinCom, we're right at the top of page
Yeah.
2. That's the reserve fund. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we're at the bottom of page one. So 65 to 66. Um,
So we still have over 475.
we have about, 400 and,
And how much were they?
it was, I think, about 197 for the 10 copies. Maybe a little less, maybe 167, but that was last year, so we can quote it again. Ask them to quote it, send them the file, ask them to quote it. And then
We have a motion.
I went through Sabrina and we had them printed at Minuteman.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna suggest that. Okay.
I make a motion that we get the estimate
Mhm.
and if within reason that we order them, because if it's 4 years, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Divided by 4.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
second that.
Now we did 10 last year. Should we do 15 this year? I mean, I think we maybe did the 10 because it's 7 right in the committee. And then if anybody else in town hall wants them.
I think 10. I don't think we need 15.
Three extra.
Because we still have the electronic copy, so,
So,
Right,
kind of
right.
copies, so.
yeah, so.
And then we have 3 that can be given out. I think I did provide one to town administrator, so we'll do that again. Kind of like, so this one in town hall.
Can you read?
Right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. We don't, it's kind of like. And again, soft copies would be available to them all. So, and we had posted them on the finance.
Oh,
Webpage.
webpage. Oh, good,
So
good,
it's
good.
kind of
Yeah.
like, so we'll archive that and post the latest. That page.
Chip and both.
Okay, yes, so we had a motion. Did we get the second?
I did
Yeah.
that here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion other than I mentioned, it's going to the website, and we'll get that. All in favor of printing and updating copies to the 2025 version? Those opposed? I'm sorry. No, okay, it was unanimous. Good check.
Excellent. Thank you, Carol. That was pretty helpful.
Good, and thank you for donating.
I'm sorry you had to
Good
go.
day, yeah, it's kind of like, was
I
it
feel
good?
guilty.
It's in the Panera, they had Panera
Ah,
for
okay.
lunch,
Oh,
and their brownies were so really
yeah.
Did you start with dessert first?
And they had breakfast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
did. They had breakfast, so they invited us bread for front, pastries and fruit. and-
How long did it take?
Except that one thing I found was funny, they had little mini bagels and little cartons of cream cheese and
Mm.
like they had like sliced breads with butter. No knives. So I went out, cause it was before, they actually started,
Yeah.
but, so I just ran out to one of the registration ladies and I said, "Oh, by the way, I see this like cream cheese and butter but there's no knives." And she said, "There's no knives?" And I said, so the caterer never brought knives.
So I guess this is important information about the ATFC meeting is the food that they were offering. Should we discuss lunch? I mean, oh, God, help me.
Oh.
Whoever catered in the
Whoever did
morning,
it, yeah.
but I thought that was funny, so, but. Yeah, overall, it was good, and like I said, it's just sat with a bunch of different people and
Yeah.
chit chatted, so.
Yeah, I don't know how long I tried, how many times I tried to get on there. And finally, the day before, in the afternoon, I was able to get on, but registration was closed. And it's like, okay.
Thank
It
you.
was quite a few people there.
Yeah. So, next one. John, can I ask that you take, out of order number 11?
Yes, we can do that.
Oh, okay.
As we have a visitor that would.
Yeah.
I'm happy to stay in order or out of order, it doesn't make a difference to me,
No.
I plan on staying the whole meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
Abby's turn.
Okay.
Yeah, but
You
I
have
don't,
your turn.
That's all right.
I know you put me on here, but what is that? We had a meeting.
We had a
With Val
meeting with
and-
Val and
and-
Nelson regarding the forms. Remember, we were gonna talk about the forms?
Right,
Because we wanted to have a consistent, everybody has a new form.
Yeah.
Nelson has told us he's working on the form.
Yep.
He's happy to look at anything that we come up with. But they want their own forms consistent, so we can't do a rogue form through them.
Right. I think he really wants to keep basically what they have, but ask for more clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
similar to the examples we had highlighted.
And then.
Yes.
He
And they
needs.
font every decent size.
Putting the account numbers on it.
Yes,
We
they
did.
wanted the
Okay.
account numbers, and
And
we liked,
descriptions.
Melissa, treasurers,
Mhm.
because she filled out
The
the comments and told us why they wanted the money and why they didn't need it. And
Right.
we, Kathy and I, we said that, as far as we're concerned, that's mandatory,
Mhm.
because the guessing game doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if they need help with it,
Mhm.
they can get a detailed line item report from the treasurer at the accountant's office. where of what has posted to that account this year.
The department head you're talking
Yeah,
about.
the department heads, if they are having trouble with what they put in there, running a report of who the vendors are that they're paid out of that account is definitely.
Yeah, we need more detail.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, the vague stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess that we left it, that Nelson was gonna put together his, and he was gonna have it in of fairly quickly.
Mhm.
And I was,
Well, he should,
by the-
because,
Yeah,
because it goes, the budget message goes out in December, I believe.
yeah, I think
Beginning
he's
of
gonna have it before the end of the month. I thought he said the 14th. It might have been the middle of the month, Jerry, you might be right, but he's working on it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, yep,
Is he gonna provide us a copy of a form or something to
Yes,
look at?
yes.
Okay.
and, okay, good.
So we'll just, I think we might have to nudge him.
Yeah, I'll,
At least there's progress moving forward. That's the thing.
That's
right,
great.
and again, it's something that the department heads.
It could be valuable
It-
tool.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and again, some of it, yeah, things are running through my head with.
Oh, well, you're back.
With all the accounting, because, someone in accounting has told me that we don't, Townsend isn't following the typical, numbering scheme for the accounts.
Really?
Well, that's what a
Oh,
surprise.
yeah.
And,
Okay.
there's some standardization of how the numbers, the series of numbers that are created. I mean, we ultimately in the beginning, yes, the 01, 001, 02, and then the department number. And it gets further out, that some of the numbers may need to be, we may need to work department by department, make sure we're consistent in using the right numbering in each
Didn't
department.
Melissa bring that up at our meeting last year?
Yeah.
She was working on, she's trying to uniform that.
Yeah, she wanted to use that long number instead of the 3-digit number that some of them were using. She wanted to
Mhm.
use the big long.
Yeah, and that's
Number.
easy to get, again, because with the accounting system, you can, everything that we have here in the BBA can be dumped to an Excel file, and once you've got it in an Excel file, you can just create it and copy it into.
No, that's not true. Not everyone can do that.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, in an Excel file, you should be able to easily copy it from
So-
into another Excel file.
I guess the question is,
We use it.
we are gonna get Nelson's new
Mhm.
revised, we're gonna review it and then,
And
and
then,
okay it, I mean,
All right,
Yeah.
so we can okay it or make a recommendation.
make recommendations.
Yeah.
so when's our next meeting?
We don't know, we can get that.
That's,
I mean, if we like it the way it is, so we can say we like it the way it is.
Yeah, we're not trying to be
no,
renegades here.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been their initial reaction, that we want to change all the document formats. That's not the truth. We wanted a form that we could work with,
Mhm.
that everybody had the same identical information
Right.
in the same
And-
place at the same
right,
yeah, time.
and that will make the other job, which is creating the omnibus, easier if there's consistency
Right,
in those documents.
Yes,
but last year,
Yeah,
I thrown them all away, but I
Yeah.
recycled them all. But some of the forms were totally,
Mhm.
I couldn't even read them with my glasses on, the typing was so small.
okay, and again, that's
Format's
output,
very
output from the-
important,
yeah,
yeah.
the format of the output is very important, and I think, for that inconsistency in sizes, I think is printing 11 by 17, so you can fold it in half, and you've got the full, instead of trying to shrink a lot of columns
Yeah.
into an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so small. So formatting is important. So it's not just what the form of the Excel files are, it's how they're output into the budget.
Mhm. And those notes are critical.
Yeah.
Right, and I think, and again, they get cut off because they're on the notes are on a far right column, and so it's potentially they get cut
I've
off.
never had any problem sizing for my printing when I have to, they're gonna fill in the size it.
So we can work on that again, that's, one is content to the form, the other is output to that copy, making sure. I'm printing it, okay, so we'll continue on that through mid-November,
Yeah, so we'll revisit that. We'll just take him in
that's
that
an active, yeah.
by the next meeting, before the next meeting.
Yeah, which I
Okay.
think,
Well, it's a combination meeting on the 14th.
Oh,
Nineteen.
meeting with them?
Yeah,
was it the 19th?
tonight, I thought it was the 14th.
I thought I had it as.
How do you even know about it?
It's the one that's with, the schools.
Oh, the finance,
Yeah.
that new finance committee, or new finance team.
No, November 19th.
November
that's it.
19th?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on a Wednesday. I
Yes,
believe.
okay.
Yeah,
It's my brother's birthday.
so, but now,
Where is that gonna be?
I don't think we
It's
know.
probably virtual if it's a school, or a school coming in just for us, or are they doing?
No, I
the
think
whole
it's,
district?
I think it's all three towns, wasn't it?
I thought so,
If they-
yeah.
so I was
It's
thinking-
either at the high school, and they've, yeah, they've done that before.
So
They've done virtuals.
if our next meeting is supposed to be November eleventh, that's a holiday, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Holiday, what's the holiday on the 11th?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Maybe.
Duty.
Well, not.
So
They're
the
supposed to do.
Right.
So should we-
Yep.
Can we put the
November
finance team
19th is the
together?
school thing.
Yeah,
I think
the
so.
school Presentation.
Yeah, it was gonna be, the assessor.
Oh, the
Regular,
office, the
the-
office assessor, the office of treasurer, the office of collector, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right, that's good to.
Should we, oh,
I don't know what time or anything on the 19th. It was, hasn't been confirmed, I guess. That's what they were thinking.
So we should meet before then.
Probably more than
I would
that.
think we should.
Not a lot of time,
No, there isn't.
well, we could have it on the 12th.
on the 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday,
It's a
but
Wednesday, but
does it make any, I mean,
Doesn't make much of a difference to me.
Okay, I'll make it work.
is Thursday better?
No,
No.
no.
Three of us can't make it.
11 and
Thursdays, okay.
Oh, Thursday.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay, everything.
Armistice Day.
Armistice Day.
So that would be Wednesday, the 12th.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay.
That's the Wednesday, of the
Wednesday.
month,
Maybe the 11th.
When did it, what's the other one?
On the 12th.
the 19th.
9 a.m.
For the
Oh,
school.
for the school, Wednesday, for us.
Yeah.
FI, and
I
Wednesday,
think I wanna go to that.
he said the 12th.
Why not?
Cause it
At
gets
6
me-
p.m.
At 6 P.M., everybody good with 6?
6 is good, yeah.
On what day, the 12th?
The 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
here at 6 anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm here at 6, so 6 and 6. maybe.
The,
Okay.
I saw 7 a.m., the 7 p.m. this morning, and had a heart attack. Was a small heart attack, because I got a small heart
Say
attack.
it repeated.
6, so.
So
And I
this is
said,
gonna be
"Well, where is
fun.
everybody? And Jack says, "I
Don't
don't
keep ping pong.
Well, I only accidentally called, I decided to check after last 2 weeks ago.
It's 6 o'clock.
Well, I had time too.
I decided.
So the meeting room will be determined.
It will be determined,
Number 12. is-
kind of like I gotta,
Gosh, we only have 2 more things to do.
well, yeah, because we,
We
took
were
took the MMA handbook
out of order without.
out of order with it, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay, it was an item, so we took number 9 out of order and did it as part of 7A, let's call it
Right.
7A.
Are we still on forms? I don't wanna forget this one.
Say,
The request for transfer, the last 2 months of the year.
Oh,
Needs to be,
Sure.
Okay, the request for transfer.
I don't see that. I
Back,
don't see
this
that.
is a long time ago.
yeah,
They're on forms.
so back,
on the
We
form.
talked
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what?
Yeah, you can.
this one, that was,
Except for what I don't see, I'd like to have that black and white, not gray.
Right.
And I don't know if it's automatically expandable or not, but there should be more room for
is
that.
that this year's or last year's?
This is last year's.
Okay.
I saved it.
No, what I meant was form, because I don't remember putting the Townsend,
Yeah, go ahead.
um. thanks for that.
That seems to have been an updated one, because the original one
Yeah,
here,
this is, yeah,
Yeah, that's the other one.
and that's one is
Right.
Greek. There's nothing on here that says anything.
Mhm.
Whereas this, at least he said.
Yeah.
I want money, and this
Yeah.
is why I want it.
it is, but as we go and visit this year, we wanna.
Well, it just happens to be one of the pieces of papers I've saved all this year, all
No,
the
no,
time,
that,
because I thought it was extremely important. We were still in the discussion of
And that's on
that
form.
Nelson's
Okay.
handling right now.
yeah, that's on the form, and so let's,
Which form was that?
Okay, this-
It's not municipal transfer, it's,
that's municipal.
You mean-
oh, this is a municipal.
Right.
And, and the other one is gonna be, the reserve fund.
Okay. And that's only.
Right. So both of those were sort of recreated this year,
Mhm.
because finance committee doesn't have access to shared drives, so we don't know, so I created something. If we need to modify them, so let's put them on the list to review and modify, and then post them in our files directory, also on the finance page, then.
Did we get them yet? Are they uploaded already?
Well, no, I've only,
Oh,
I've recovered them, kind of like, so I created them this year because I took the old ones and tried to do that, so maybe we modify them, do a little procedure that tells people how to fill them out,
Mhm.
to go along with, just the new form, and do training for the department head when there's a department head meeting.
Mhm.
This is what we're doing, so it eliminates the need for all the different versions that people have hanging around. They can go to a common place, download it, and edit it and update it. It's a Word document.
Mhm.
They can use it as a template. The other was, on the municipal transfer request. It was an outdated form because there were changes. And if you look at this one, it says based on the codes passed in 2016. The other one had 2008, and we were using that, and those, if we followed those, we wouldn't be able to, do anything more than, I think it was $1,000
Oh,
on a transfer. So the 2016, the laws of 2016 say we can transfer up to, the amount needed. So the earlier version of the document, just, it limited where the transfers could be. So it's kind of like, so if we were strictly following what was said on the document, we probably approved some things that we shouldn't have. Just because the document referenced an obsolete law.
Wow,
So,
that's good you caught that.
there's a few things like that that are around,
Mhm.
that maybe we audit with department heads. Like I think there's some things in some of the other areas.
one of the things that should happen is on the common drive is take off the old forms
Yep.
and replace them instead of leaving them hanging there. They have so many things on there. that's all-
Everybody might make a copy of it, bring it to their own
Yeah.
portion on the drive, and then they keep using that because they know.
Of course, that's what we do.
Yeah.
But you're right, take off all the old
Take
stuff.
everything
All the old stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Who do we
Okay,
actually do
okay,
that?
yeah.
Who does that?
Well, I think.
Or is that like a municipal, they have to do it?
I think each, again, department heads have to be instructed, go delete any copies you have,
Oh.
and this is the new process. No old forms will be accepted, the new form, will be accepted,
I'm guilty
is
of
the
it.
accepted form.
I'll admit it.
About 44.
Right?
You downloaded a copy and then that's what you used and
Yeah.
you just.
And then, oops, you went back to the wrong copy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times our town administrator did that. He copied the form and he was reusing it and it would be saved, but he forgot to update the account he was drawing from, so it was the wrong account on the form. So we had to update all the forms because they had already been approved by another group, another committee.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, so we said, we accept with this change, to the account. So, yeah, it's something that, and I'm guilty of. I do that, and I forget to update a field, or I save an old version.
Yeah. You probably all done that.
Yeah, so we're trying to get better with the forms, and again, we've created the log. These now have the numbering sequence on it, so we have a log, so year over year, we can see what we did and assign a number to it, so you can track it, and if somebody's looking for it, you have a log you can go back to actual trace. Again, it's no big secret, it's just, starts with FY and the current fiscal year. And then whether it's a municipal transfer request, it's an MTR dash, and the first one starts with 001 every year. So it's kind of like, it changes fiscal year to fiscal year, but, on the numbering sequence, but if you ever need to have that, there's a reference to go back to and say, what do we, what were the transfers in Y24, say, it's kind of like a 25, we can do that. Okay, sorry, what's up? Keep me going on forms, I was an Excel auditor. Forms and how you track them, how do you track a form if it doesn't have a number? Oh, it was a form, it did this. Okay, try to find it, it's for me. So it's just, and I think government, same thing, it's kind of like you don't have a tracking number to go, how do you know what to go after? Okay, so. Yeah. Forms, okay. Item 10, review and discuss BBA with new numbers if available. And I can tell you, there's new numbers available.
Yeah, it looks like they're proper.
Well, there's salaries in a lot of places,
Yeah,
which was empty before.
right.
Wow, some of them are 44.9%. You,
No.
But that's professional services.
If
Oh,
you,
I
So-
didn't think this. Well, yeah, 31.
Yeah. So,
Is that right?
yes,
That's in July,
so
yeah.
this would be through the end
September.
of September. This would be the end of September because we're at the end.
Well, because David
So your
said,
project's July.
Oh, July,
August,
September,
September,
so
3
a
months.
quarter, yeah.
so a quarter,
Oh, so
so. we don't-
this might include 1 week into
October.
To October, so
One
so
pay-
that's
All right.
one paycheck out of two.
Okay,
So,
so, all right, so that might not be so bad.
right, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at the town accountant one, that's
So
67%.
we got it.
Well, that's,
Do they get paid
Well,
quarterly or something?
no, we don't have a town accountant. It's kind
No,
of,
I know, but why?
Okay.
Paying about
So, I think-
68.9, if you round that
Oh.
up, 68%, yeah.
right, so I think if we look at that, we also had to look at the accounting professional and technical services. I think we're paying it out of the town accountant salary line and not the professional and technical services, which is the CBIZ.
Why are we
So-
doing that?
So,
No,
yeah,
that-
why, yeah, we shouldn't
Well,
be, we should be
I-
paying it out of the correct line and not.
And again, this is probably where we go. We don't have an accountant, so CBIZ has stepped up to be a full-time accountant, not just,
But they're contractor,
they're a contractor
so,
doing that function, so I think they may be paying.
I'm not
so-
sure.
but they should actually be calling it a consultant or whatever it is,
Okay.
and not the town accountant.
Well, they,
Or transfer money from one into.
Yeah.
well, and I think we have to do it different, because that's a salary line, not an expense line. We pay an invoice, we don't pay salary, because that's a
Oh,
line.
so that's the wrong line.
I think it's a wrong
I
line,
think
because
it
you'd be,
Yeah,
because you'd be paying payroll taxes based on that.
right,
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 But if they
right.
do that, then they're overdrawn
Oh, yeah, they're gonna be
What, you mean
on
tax
the,
services?
on the
and
30
that?
on the 30,000.
on the 30,000 because they've expended
They've,
43.
they've expended 43 already this year.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, that's, so
So
These are the
even
kind of things we have to
Yeah, a
do.
whole
Now,
bunch
this is
of
gonna come back to bite us.
taxes that go into salary.
Yeah.
there's taxes that are paid on the salary, there's
Right.
benefits that are
On
paid
salaries, but not on third-party contracts, right, on outsource.
That would be an invoice, and
Right.
they would have to pay the taxes.
It's gotta be changed, they gotta do it right.
it's
Yeah,
gonna, it's gonna,
yeah.
it's gonna
They gotta
be,
do
but
it.
it should be, so you're saying it should be coming out of the accounting professional technical services line?
Right, right. But how did?
But they only have 30,000 allocated for that, and yet they've already spent
43.
43.
Yep.
So they make them,
Can
whatever
they-
we need to do to transfer the,
Can they go negative in the professional services line because as long as they come out okay on the bottom line or no?
You could do that
because
now, but that 35,000 for audit is gonna get used up when we do the audit.
You know,
Yes, no.
Just doing these kinds of mistakes,
This is like multiplication.
it just makes everything wrong.
It does.
It-
So,
and-
but where would they come up with the money?
Well,
Right,
either you put zero
Yeah.
for that budget, I mean, for the town accountant.
I think I've seen the auditor in, so some of that 43 may be split between the two professional services lines. So I think I've seen the auditor in reviewing documents, so maybe some of that.
I think they're starting to get into the weeds. I think this is just something that can be a question. Just keep it simple and ask a question of the accounting department. That whoever is assigned, one of these people, doesn't have to be Dawn, should, they should be writing notes and ask the accountant, all right, how is this on this line? And there's probably if anybody's going to do it properly, it's going to be the accountant and can explain the viability of putting this on the accountant's line and any impropriety or confusion. It may just be a confusion by the FinCom on whether or not, this is okay. And I'm sure it is. And the fact that because we're paying this company more than we would for an actual, if we had an employed accountant, because yes, I agree with them that it would pay the salary, plus we'd be paying health insurance and all that other stuff. And that would be, now that it's not that the budget was already developed with an accountant in the position last year, because she didn't leave until the end of the fiscal year. So the budget actually was there for a person being employed by the town, as well as any health insurance and what have you. Once the budget passed town meeting, those items are in the budget. So, and we are paying the company more than an employee. We would pay an employee because that company, the total cost would include the health insurance and all that other stuff. So at the end of the day, these numbers are going to converge, but you can't, the budget, looking at this the way they are, could just be too much into the weeds, because this will clear out for them, for the FinCom to go line by line on the town budget. The expense reports is just a waste. It's a total waste of their time. They should only be looking at something that blows up in their face, or things that they shouldn't be doing this, what they're doing, and they're going to do it for another half hour at least.
Money's already, they might be reviewing the documents early, because the audit findings is what comes out later.
The audit findings have come out. They do,
For fiscal 25,
for FY 24.
so I think they're reviewing the books now, because that's how they get the free cash number to certify with the state.
No, not the auditors.
Okay.
No, the auditors are strictly the end of the year financial audit. They, for FY 25, they will be doing it, well, yeah, it's kind of like, they usually, we had asked them to start, but they don't usually start until February or March.
This was a big.
So this, yeah, this is
Roselli.
Roselli and Clark.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Roselli and Clark, they, for the free cash.
I mean, I talked to Melissa, and, you know, they've had the auditor reviewing documents, so they've had someone in reviewing documents.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yes, the auditors are reviewing documents. They start now, but they really don't pick up speed until our books are closed for fiscal year 25, which ended on June 30th. But our books are not closed. Well, what they're doing, what the town is doing is going through their accounts and making sure that everything is lined up properly so that they can well, I'm not going to get into deep accounting terms, but they're closing out the books is the basic, which takes a few months to do. And the hopeful thing would be that the town would be able to have the books closed. Even now, a lot of towns have the books closed already, and they've set their tax rate, and they've done all these other things, and determine what their free cash is going to be for the following fiscal year, which we're in fiscal year 26 now. So the determining what the free cash will be so that they can spend it hopefully properly in the spring. That's part of the closing of the books. The auditors can start looking at things, but they can't do a deep dive. Some of the auditors, I'm not going to get deep into it, but I don't want to get into the weeds with you, but yeah, they're starting now, but they can't, they're limited on what they can audit until the books are closed. And I don't know that they're helping. They don't help with closing the books. They may possibly answer some questions, but it's up to the town to close the books. And I'm sure we're going to have the same problems in our audit that we've had every year. But don't get me going.
That's not from DLS, is it?
No.
That hasn't started.
I
When is
haven't
that
seen that
happening?
yet. I haven't seen,
Okay.
but
Regardless.
This is
right,
Roselli.
so the $35,000 line, it was Roselli.
They just mentioned when's the DLS one starting. There's no DLS audit. Just in case, I got to double check and make sure is my mic on? Yes, it is. Okay. The DLS is coming in to assist with, again, talking about best practices and how things are going. They're not coming in to do any kind of audit. They're not inspecting to see what kind of illegal activities are going on with our money. They are not looking at any of that. They're only coming in to assist and to look at any practices, or really to get Nelson Moy out of hot water, to try to figure out how to best manage some of the budgetary concerns and developing the trends and seeing what are the best practices. They're only going to come to talk about the things that are readily available on DLS website. There's videos. In fact, the videos on the DLS website refer you back to their YouTube channel. If these people want to know what DLS is going to talk about, you could just go to the DLS YouTube channel and watch their videos. And that's what they'll tell you. They're not, but they'll look directly at, our things, but they're not going to go through our books, but they're going to see what kind of things are popping up, what they can see and how things are managed, and the difficulties we have with determining free cash, to closing. What are the difficulties we're having with closing our books? What are the difficulties that we're having with not, for some reason, not having a 5-year plan or for years? I don't know. But that's what DLS is coming for. They are not coming here to audit. I don't care what anybody tells you.
Accounting, professional service, and technical services audit. That is Roselli and Clark.
Okay, and the top one, the tech services is Seabridge.
Steve is to be our town accountant.
And, but they've been paid out of the salary town account, correct?
It appears that way because there's no money that has come out of
Right.
professional and technical services.
So how does that get corrected on?
You do journal entries. So you would, a journal entry will subtract from one line and add it into another.
Right.
It's kind of like. So it's a correct.
It's gotta get out of there before the taxes get paid.
Right.
But where are they gonna get the money from? Cause if the audit is in there for 35,000. And that's in the spring, are we gonna do some kind of a, transfer at the special town meeting or something?
We would maybe have to, but then the free cash certification normally comes from just doing the reports from the town. The town accountant will do some, the town accountant does some, the treasurer does some, and so when they're trying to do this free cash certification, that's what they put together the numbers and submit it to the website for DLS.
this is
that has been
exactly on the
allocated. I forget
videos on the
exactly where it is,
DLS
but
website.
there's a particular location. They go in and upload all of their reports for the FY 24, and that's the free FY 25. Sorry, we're in FY 20.
Yeah,
Constantly doing that, sorry. It's kind of like, so yes, it's kind of like the FY 25 free cash certification. These reports generally come from your own town accounting and town treasurer accounts. It's kind of like, it's not generally that, but if it's somebody from the outside, it might be somebody from CBiz that has been brought in to do them, but it's not the resilient part full audit at the end of the year. Okay. So that's a concern line.
yes, that's a concern, like, because you still need, we still need a budget for the town accountant.
Yep.
Because you may hire somebody during the year sometime. at
Well,
some point.
it is posted, it's
Right.
posted.
It's posted, so at some, so you do have to have it.
Well,
That's
that's
why budgeted, but you shouldn't be paying the.
And the general.
That bucket,
Right,
yeah.
as long as it's a professional technical services, if you're gonna do it monthly, every time you pay that bill, you transfer it to professional
Well, we've
services.
already overpaid, I mean, we've already used up
But
the
the-
30,000 allocated.
The 43,000 that they've taken from salary monthly or however often they're paying, that should be transferred to professional services from the salary because that month is
We
gone
didn't need
for
the,
paying the salary.
Right, that's
we need
true.
the detail on this one, Tony.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
so in other words, every month that goes by that the person isn't there to take a salary, that monthly salary should be transferred to professional services and then paid out.
Right, I agree with that, yeah.
And that way you have the,
Yeah.
to rent somebody when they show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. We'll get the
Yeah.
details on that and see where we're going, because if we hired somebody that's posted, when they come in, there's not enough money in that salary line to pay them, so it's kind of like, there are questions.
The other one going down is MIS communications, that's at 92%.
Where you, oh, I saw
Page
that.
4.
But here, I just have one question on the longevity stipends. I noticed that, the different stipend longevity lines, some of them. Like are not paid at all, some are paid, I mean, is there?
Anniversary date.
Oh, it's the anniversary
Yeah.
date, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So, good
I was-
question.
I wasn't sure, I said there had to be a reason why some, but okay, thank you.
The next we get on MS Communications, no more.
Oh, yeah, I saw that 92.3, so that's almost all paid.
Yeah, so what is that line item? Is that
We
the
need detail.
telephone
Again,
system
we
or?
need detail. Need detail. 73 for travel clerk, where she's traveling right now, who's that?
What's that? Which one?
Oh, that's is that Allison?
What's that? Where?
I mean, yeah, I can speak to that line item if you have questions on that.
Which one?
Number
5710, travel mileage.
Trevor Miles in state. Some stuff on, they're gonna be added up.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the line items that was cut earlier, well, as a part of the.
I was gonna say, that's the piece, we have to realize we cut quite a bit of money from.
Yeah, so this is one of the lines that was cut. The largest portion of that was related to, having to get sworn in. Jack, the new assistant town clerk, was sworn in at the Springfield Secretary of State's office. The options were Boston or Springfield, or Fall River. And so Springfield was the better of the locations that was chosen as far as traffic goes. So that's what the largest use of the mileage there was for.
I see. So it's cut item, cut line item.
But I don't anticipate significant further usage of that line. We do have, under, elections, travel mileage in there that hasn't been touched at all. I don't anticipate significant further usage for the rest of the year. That's, certainly, if there is, it'll be able to be covered within the 160 and 162 function.
Thank you. See, that's the kind of stuff for me.
Mhm.
87%.
Well, even like I noticed on the repair and maintenance equipment, they've been.
I'm
a couple of places,
I've been 100.5.
I mean, what do we, is our equipment so bad that,
No, sometimes what that is they have a maintenance agreement.
okay, so they.
So, yeah, so you pay for that, so it wipes out the line.
And that is exactly what that is. We pay annual subscriptions as it relates to maintaining the equipment. They invoice us on July 1 for the year.
Okay,
And so that covers the whole year.
well, that, I was kind of figured it was something like
You'll
that.
find that in the memberships too.
Yeah,
I thought that was what I-
Well, yeah, that's why I,
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't too concerned about those, because I figured it was something like an annual thing.
Oh, here's a good one, 99%.
I'm-
Oh, there's dues.
Yeah, let's do some membership.
Yeah.
I had one other in the third line item, if you were curious about the 87% utilization of DNR wages.
Yeah.
That was because of the special election, so that line is at risk of not having sufficient money available. There are some other sources that we'll be able to look at, but that was unbudgeted having the special election in July.
Right, yeah, it's kind of like that one, if we have another election, but even if this spring election is gonna be. That was the thing, that was the only one that was planned. I know we had the extra, I don't know if they're on here, but. There was an
But
account
the
for that.
special article,
Yeah,
yeah, and that was heavily drawn and as it relates to,
And we
the
did.
I'll talk to you about.
and we haven't replenished it, that's the thing, it's kind of like.
Yeah.
My list of
Yeah.
things to-
I'll be talking about that with them.
Okay, yeah,
Land use, we have
They
that.
they took that money, they took that away, the land use coordinator.
We took that away now. Since they left a little, where they leave a little.
I think
they
they,
won't find somebody is typing.
I think so,
Oh,
I
but
think
it's
Beth
Beth.
and, maybe Colby, I don't know.
Oh, they did give Colby. I
Yeah.
remember, yeah.
So I think that's, but they basically took everything out of that line item for the most part.
Interesting.
So on the facility maintenance on page 7, the temporary help. That's like 80% paid. Is that something that's? We think.
Isn't that
What is
the,
Down the
I
bottom.
think that's the workers from the cemetery
summer?
department that helps mow the lawn and stuff like
Okay, so
that.
that's pretty
I
much,
could be wrong, but I
Yeah.
think that's what.
because
it
there's
is.
not much money left in that account, so
It's
you're not gonna be helping much
Yeah.
longer.
No, I mean, we're only guessing here, it's like a game. With the exception of Harrison. Pest control.
Oh, yeah, the pest control is pretty, we're gonna have a lot of pests.
We, that's,
What's the story? Is that another contract they pay yearly?
that's another,
Maybe?
Is that a yearly thing, or is it having a real pest problem?
I thought we were.
Well, they're having
that
bad
quarterly.
for a while,
We had a squirrel when I was in that office.
Well, we've got the bat net in our office. We've got,
Bat
we're
net?
the keeper of the net.
The best thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we had to chase,
You
Jack had to chase the bat out of here twice with Rob.
You serious?
Yeah, we have a real bat-sized net that we
Have
had to
they
get.
found where they're coming in from?
I don't know. We haven't had the bat in a while. Not going, something.
Okay, because they need to find where the bats are coming in, so they
Yeah.
can seal
It's-
it.
They bite you, they have rabies.
I know, it's been a while though, so I think we're.
It's like in the
sure.
middle.
Seven
possibility.
times.
What?
I have a couple of minutes. I got one.
Oh, my
Are
word.
you gonna bat them around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop playing badminton with a.
Oh,
Real bat.
So,
who's this? Fire EMS, here we go. Page 9, 82%. I guess that's, yeah. Resurrection. Additional gross overtime.
Yeah.
yeah, but that in the police department.
I'm looking at that right now, yeah,
50%,
53% in the overtime, it's kind of like.
that's gonna run out.
Replacement vacation, is that gonna be happening?
Well, I don't know how you do that.
53, maintenance and equipment. Professional services. I mean, they're almost 99% on hazardous waste collection.
What about,
We have one half to this was there, I think.
Yeah, but did you, this,
Where are
you
you now?
skipped
I don't know
over
what it's
the,
saying.
you skipped over the 166,
Oh, no.
69%, 169%, which is fire EMS professional services, page 10. So they're already in the
Oh,
negative.
168.56, yes.
yeah, but if you go back to this couple of, so full-time ops captain, I think, is 83%. He's already been paid $83,000. Out of 101?
I guess he's right, we're not gonna have any services. Or they'll be free. Is there a reason that this is?
Well, I don't
I know this
understand,
time is.
I don't really understand that patient care refunding, why that costs so much money.
Wait, we're not allowed to ask questions of the fire department, so.
Well,
Yeah.
when I get back in, I will get the list and we'll compare.
And we
this
can,
year, last year,
there's
about
one
what's going in there.
thing from the fire EMS department.
What is vacation replacement? Is that they replace somebody who's on vacation with a per diem guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like they're, yeah,
Okay,
they're backfilling the position.
all right.
It's kind of like, and they don't consider that regular overtime.
So what's
Yeah,
other
it's-
services? Fire EMS, other services.
That could be so many different things.
Well, that's my
Yeah.
question. What
Right,
is it? It's already up to 66%.
yeah, again, we always ask that question about what is other, but, okay, let's lines and then we can ask for a report of what's.
And see me
That'd
a
be fine.
detail item.
Yep,
On this.
Yep.
They're big. I understand it's a big deal, and I understand you can't control
Well-
it because of nature.
You know, this is the really, you know, they're getting into the weeds, and I mean, it's a good thing the town is only as small as it is. Imagine if we were twice the size, because we'd still be a town doing the same things the same way, even if we were double our size. And they'd have to be here till midnight or later to go over this. And they're going into such detail and other services. They shouldn't be taking up meeting time having debates about this. They should know a lot more about the departments that they're dealing with. First of all, what does the fire department do? They do other things other than fighting fires and going on ambulance calls. They do inspections. People need different permits. And they even do burning permits. If you need a burning permit, you got to call them. You got to, you know, other services may include some mutual aid. This might be a little bit of a catch-all, because if the fire chief or a deputy or somebody who's ever is assigned has to go to other towns for meetings, this might be other services. And these have to be, rather than have 15 different line items for every possible thing that they could possibly be doing, because it's hard to say what they're going to be doing. But they're not necessarily fire calls, but they're things that some of the officers have to do, or they do have to send somebody in a vehicle to go. I mean, inspections is a long list of types of inspections that they have to do. They may need to go to the fire headquarters, the state fire headquarters, which my understanding is down in Stowe. But there's different things that they have to do, and some of these things do cost money, and sometimes it's salaries. Some of the salaries are in there. I'd have to study this myself, but they don't have to. The FinCom shouldn't be. This is in there year after year after year. This isn't like, oh, this just popped up. The FinCom should be looking at things that just popped up. Like, what is this new thing that they're doing? And if the budget's up by 20%, how come? The fact that things can be challenged, can go in different categories, because the fire department cannot tell you now what they're going to do next month, because they don't know, because it depends on who needs what. And it's a reactive department. It's not an administrative function. It's a constant, which there are administrative functions that they do. So I don't know. I just don't even know where to begin anymore.
However,
I need to,
we need some detail.
yeah,
But that's, yeah.
and
it's kinda-
almost
I mean, it's only
everything does say other.
it's only $500, but
Detail,
But
like,
five- what else- what else?
500 here, you know what, it's our tax dollars, we should know where they're going.
Yeah.
Just saying. And you remember, who's that?
the stipend for the
Building department, oh my.
alternate, is that the alternate building person?
He's gone, so this must go to the commissioner. So wait, Harrison has.
So I heard at the select board meeting, this line was significantly, somewhat higher, I don't know if it was, I would say it was significant, but the $2,000 that they cut this line down to is artificially reduced as a result of the negative lines to balance the budget. So it wasn't originally this low, they're just gonna use the alternate building inspector less.
I thought they got rid of him completely.
I believe he's still on call. The way Nelson had described it at the select board meeting, he may still be on call for emergency situations.
Yeah, I mean, you can,
Again, missing details. Glad you're here, Harrison.
Happy to answer questions.
Yeah, real good. 25% because of what credit.
yeah, office supplies is,
Office supplies. I didn't read,
it's, it's.
Toner?
Yeah, but it could be that they need a toner right at the
But
beginning.
then when we asked that, they said toner is included in the maintenance agreement, so that's what the maintenance
The
agreement.
different, it's kind of like, and so that's,
So details would help.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Or office supplies, they could have needed.
This is just way too much detail. Because to determine, they're not in the accounting department where invoices are being submitted to them and where they need approval. The FinCom isn't in that business at all. So looking at the budget in this much detail is out of their wheelhouse completely. And the supplies that the building department need could be miscellaneous tools. It could be a measuring tape. It could be because the building inspector goes out and inspects and goes all through buildings. He might need a hard hat. He might need, and that may or may not, I don't know if they're going to get into clothing allowance. I don't know. I mean, getting into this kind of detail, you'd have to, you don't even know what they do. And nobody is expected to at this level of detail. And this is just wasting their time and wasting everybody's time, and certainly wasting my time doing this video. Oh my goodness.
Forms for the electrical inspector or something like that, and they only buy them once a year or.
But don't you think we should know that?
Yeah, but how are you gonna put that on this
Right,
report?
you can't get.
No, I think we should make a list and ask the department heads.
Right, no, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, I don't get too, because I used to be a supply, I used to buy supplies, so I don't get too hung up on
All right.
the
okay.
supply line, only because I know that there's unforeseen things.
I understand that. I do understand that, but I do think that we have to be more diligent about letting this stuff ride.
But
I'm asking for detail.
No, you don't need to be more diligent. It's not the job of the FinCom to be looking at these items and try to dissect what these departments are doing every single day. You'd have to really go into all these departments every single day and hang out with them and say, well, I don't think you're going to go to Staples to buy something? No, how come? I mean, this is not management. And the accountant doesn't even do this. The accountant gets invoices and she doesn't dissect. She looks at things, and if they don't belong in a certain accounting, they don't approve things, or they do something else. But this is not FinCom business at all.
I don't think he's.
No, but I was gonna watch it too, because if it goes up anymore, then
Right, it could be a watch.
it's a definite watch item, because we're only 3 months into the year.
My point exactly. And if you've already spent 168% of your budget, it's not.
And I want to, while we're here getting into the weeds, I want to discuss the building department. It really baffles select board members, and it baffles FinCom because of how the building department operates. It doesn't, all these people, and a lot of this is an accounting function. When these folks try to figure this out, their heads sometimes start to explode, because the wiring inspector, the plumbing inspector, and even an alternate building inspector. Well, the ultimate building inspector, no, but the detailed people, the plumbing, the wiring. I think there's another one. I can't think of who it is. Weights and measures, but they're paid a stipend. They only get paid. In fact, they're getting paid based on the permit fee. So they're not paid out of for accounting purposes on the budget. You're seeing a stipend allocated, which their fee is actually not going to be more than the building permit costs. That if I wanted something done in my house, if I'm going to have my bathroom redone, then I'm going to be, all these inspectors are going to come out. The building inspector is going to come out at the beginning, and then the other guys will come out either halfway through or both halfway through and at the end possibly and sign off on the work. They're paid and they're the cost of all these visits is not going to exceed the total cost of any building permits that were taken out. And if you look at everybody's building permits, you can see that there's all kinds of money coming in, and the money going out is paid to the inspectors. And you don't necessarily, you're not seeing this as this great income stream or this, oh my God, the expenses are too high, which you won't see until the end of the year as the books get closed, because it's the building, they're not paid like a salary. We don't have them hanging out, doing work, or, oh, how come they're working all these hours? Well, you want to turn down, we're going to have to deny building permits so that we don't have the revenue or the expenses, and we're not going to have any new growth, which means it's going to be another tax crunch. Is that what we want, to stop building? No, you can't have your kitchen done this year because you have to wait 3 months to get your kitchen done because the FinCom doesn't want us to have our inspectors go out because they don't understand it. So we'll take your building fee now, but we're not going to have the work done for 3 more months. You can't start the work. I mean, no, see, they're getting into things that are way over their head, and you just have to, and that needs, which when the building inspector is trying to get his budget through, they go through this whole chaos again. How come this is going up? It's like, it's not going up. These aren't salaried people. They're getting paid a stipend, which they have to negotiate, actually. What they should be doing more negotiating, but the fees that are charged to you and I for having worked on our house or a business or whatever's happening, somebody's building a house, then those fees are all incorporated. It's just money going out. It's money being spent that we've received from people applying for permits. There isn't this. Oh, never mind. Hopefully somebody understands what I'm saying. All right, I got to start this up again.
Okay.
Just fix that.
So how do we pay the schools?
What
Because it's-
do we?
Okay, so we paid 2/4. Do we pay it at the beginning?
I think.
Okay,
yeah.
because Neshoba Tech is 50%. That's why I was wondering.
Mhm.
What department is this?
Oh, highway.
Highway. Well,
Tree warden.
15%. Oh, they barely spend any money. 0.89.
What's that?
Depends what age it's
16.
Highway office supplies 110.
Yeah, they're really writing a lot of stuff.
And
Yeah, but you know what?
No,
Their
it was-
line was cut in half.
What do you mean?
Hmm.
At the very beginning of the budget season, they cut
No.
that was one of the things they cut right.
So I'm gonna put budget cut, like Harrison said.
Yeah.
Line item cut, we should know that.
Well, that's-
the
We
47.
gotta go back to the
Well,
March,
true.
the March,
Anyhow.
budgets and identify the lines that we really cut, because those are the ones, and again,
Do we know they're cut? Do we know that? I
um,
mean, we know Harrison's, let's get told, but
right,
You know-
we would only know by comparing what it was originally requested back in the March, omnibus. But those are the things that we definitely need to watch,
And so-
and like those are the watch lines, the ones we cut.
definitely. And
Big.
my concern is that these percentages,
Mhm.
help me if I'm wrong here, these are real numbers.
These are real
These are
numbers.
real
what we
numbers.
paid.
Because we know the budget is kind of like fake, but that 102 of whatever the fake number was is a real number. They really spent that money.
Mhm.
They really spent, yeah, so out of the
Yeah, so
$536 budget, they spent
550.
550.
Yeah,
So
And getting this deep into the weeds is also a problem. If you're looking at let's see, this is an October meeting. So they're looking at just July, August, September numbers. It might go into the middle of October. I'd have to look at the document. I do have a copy and I don't remember what it said. But I'm thinking it's only July, August, and September. Maybe it could have part of October. What do I know? But you're not halfway through, but yet departments, let's say you're a department and you only have so many hours in a day, but you got your budget for the year and you know that costs are going up everywhere. But your budget is a 12-month budget. So you can spend all of it in July if you want. Not a good idea. But let's say you have office supplies or miscellaneous equipment like small tools and replacement items, caulking. There's, there's most departments, not all, but most departments need caulking they do for repairs and things. And you buy these things, everybody knows everything's going up and who knows what's going to be tariffed. So you go to Staples, you don't buy a pen every week. You don't go to Staples every week and buy a pen. You know how many pens you go through and you know how many reams of paper. You don't buy one ream of paper every couple weeks. You buy a case. If you need pens and pencils, you buy a few boxes. You buy, if you need rulers and yardsticks, or, you need binders, you need folders, you need, SD cards, you need USB drive things, you need all kinds of things that are just miscellaneous. And I'm assuming if the department heads and the managers are thinking smartly, they are buying things early before prices continue to rise, because they have been. Inflation has, got everybody pretty scared. But a lot of these expenses are being front loaded. People don't go through the budget is a 12-month budget, not a monthly budget. So you can only spend so much every month. They're front loading. And some of the, office supplies will carry over into the next year too. You buy a box of pens, you don't return them because you didn't use them by June 30th. They're still in your supply cabinet. And it's not that people are hoarding anything. It just doesn't make sense. So you can't, for the FinCom to say, how come, they've spent 67% of their budget and we're not halfway through the year? Because you don't know what they're buying. And nobody is required to tell you what they bought or where they bought it. Just that they're in their supplies line item. Good for them. Leave them alone. It's not, you need to worry if that gets overspent by, they overspent the budget, their office supplies line item by $1,000. Okay, maybe you should ask somebody about that one. But just because if they're within the budget, you shouldn't even be looking at this.
It's kind of like the negative to
They do that because really.
You gotta first.
Be buying supplies.
But it
I know,
happens,
what
but
you would
sometimes,
buy.
because I need toner and I only have $200 in there and
Mhm.
the toner is $225. Then you're gonna be off $25. But as long as the bottom line, the
bottom
total
line in that segment.
expenses it doesn't go negative, you're good.
Pretty good, okay, okay. Also.
Yeah, but it's not really-
So
So
22 is not
Within that.
Oh, okay, so we're really looking at the bottom line, not the individual lines, but
And we still need to look at the
You-
individual
you
ones.
need to look at the individual lines to get a story and say, is there something up here? But yeah, it's.
You would be more concerned.
So the other thing, like for my department in particular, I can speak to when I have expenses, I look at what line it best belongs in, whether that is the particular line that has the budget available, what most accurately reflects what this expense actually is.
Mhm.
And it goes in that line. And then if a transfer needs to happen later, it's important that the reporting be accurate, because if this is really an office supply expense, why is it happening in other supplies? It shouldn't just be because that's where the budget was available. It was really an office supply. And so that's where I would come back later and ask for that transfer. We didn't spend other supplies, we spent office supplies. And so, the highways spent 22% overall, and like they haven't spent their other supplies. So maybe it's one of those things, but they put it there.
And a lot of this, these are good things for the department heads to take note of. If their budget doesn't have the full complement of what they need for a particular line, this is where when they're doing their budget for next time, they'll be identifying these things that just, not that they overspent because they didn't care, but it's like things went up. Like Kathy was just mentioning, when she was a town clerk, you might have to buy toner, and she had $200 in her budget, but the toner was $225. That same situation, it could have been like when she set the budget, $200 would have bought a toner cartridge, but they've gone up to $225. She still has to buy the toner cartridge because her business, her department, she can't not have it. She's got the main copier for the whole town hall under her purview. So she's got to buy the toner. She can't shut it down because she's $25 short. And a department head can look at their overall budget and see how things are going. And there are authorized transfers that happen later in the year, which the FinCom should be well aware of, that when we get down to May, the department heads will be looking at their budgets and saying, what do I need to move things around to close out the year? And things that fairly represent day-to-day business, it's fine to over or underspend on some of these line items. And then it will inform them as they're developing their budget for the following year. They know what the trends are. Here I am with trends again. And just to point out something, you're looking at the screen, and I was zoomed in, and I felt like having my video on this time. So I just, you can look at my face is showing my exacerbation. I can't. That's exactly how I feel right now. Like, what am I looking at? I'm just yeah, I'm saying the wrong word and it's not coming out right. All right, back.
Maybe, but it's really an office supply type of thing.
I see, and I appreciate that, but I also think we have to red flag these things to keep our eye on it for our job.
Well, and that copier in the building department is used by building and Board of Health and other people that may come in to use it, but that's rare, and it comes out of the building department. Even though it's used by others.
By others, okay.
But see, that's when detail.
Yeah.
Or they should get a little bit more money.
And these are details the FinCom shouldn't be concerned about. As if they really want to look at things from more of a trend. They want to look at, if the town is going cuckoo on things like copier expenses, they should take the time, not go line by line by line, but review, the combination. If they're really concerned about a couple of bucks, I haven't heard anything yet that says that there's some extreme spending, like all of a sudden, why are office supplies at 110% in November? I don't think, that can be a red flag, but these are not the finance police. The accountant is the first level of, purchasing things appropriately. But there's an open door on, like, give everybody a break. Nobody's, if we started buying $1,000 a month of paper, then it would be, somebody should be looking at theft. Is it going out the door? But the first level of that is the accountant. If you see large numbers, then we'd be talking about, hold on. But this is, we're 2 hours into this meeting. Come on, people.
If it's being
And
used
this
by
is the first-
multiple sources.
And that's how we would make recommendations.
Yeah.
And this is the first year that copier has been moved into
Right.
the building department. It was not part of the building department budget last year.
That's right,
Oh.
because it's a new one and they.
Okay.
But it's good to know these things.
Okay. So what is this landfill energy?
Yeah,
Page
that's what I was
17.
looking at too.
141. But if you go to Little Black, it's 36.37%, so we shouldn't be alarmed.
No.
Yeah, but
No. It's kind of,
This is another one. They do have electricity up there. It's not the land. And then, I know Mary Jane said on Turnpike Road, no, we don't have a landfill on Turnpike Road. We have a recycling center up at up on Greenville Road. And there's a building, there's electricity in it. It has to be, the electricity is on all the time, even though the place isn't open. They have security. There's lighting for security, that because people have sometimes gone in there when it's closed and illegally dumped things, or there's always a potential for vandalism and somebody stealing something. And there's things other than trash up there. We don't have a regular dump. It's called the landfill. That's the landfill line item. There are some monitoring equipment, I believe, on the landfill because it's closed, and you have to make for DEP reasons, they have to watch that. I don't know how much of the landfill energy bill is part of that, but this is getting so deep into the weeds, like, yep, they have energy up there. Next thing we're looking at, get off this, and they're spending too much time on it.
Bill should be along.
Yeah. Because you're looking at the,
What is it?
it's the heat and electric for the landfill building up on,
Turnpike Road, the
Yeah.
dump?
yeah,
Well,
the recycle center.
But
sorry.
are they
Yeah.
still doing the monitoring on the,
The engineering, yes, that'll be in a different.
Oh, it is, okay.
No, okay, so the guys are in this garage and they're heating it and that's the heating.
Well, there's gonna be some.
But you know what it
And light.
could also be is that it wasn't, put in right.
It
Could
could
have
be,
been.
it's
You
kind
mean the
of,
numbers?
Not the
But the
numbers, but
electricity.
put in the wrong account,
Oh,
but it's something to know.
right, yeah.
that's what we're doing. We're doing.
Yeah, because there's nothing in the other two.
It doesn't give me a
There's-
budget in.
Because. It's kind of.
30.
And the thing there's something to note is really not for the FinCom to note. If something is put into the wrong line item, this is for the accountant to worry about. They're in the weeds.
6.37.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, so I mean, overall it's there, but,
because if this is a heating bill,
It's all-
it's only, I mean.
Maybe it's air conditioning.
well, you know, or is it energy for the skid loader?
But,
Yes.
but it's like, but I mean, is this like a monthly or quarterly bill? I mean, like, are we gonna be in the hole like?
I took
Well, here you
that,
go,
sheet
Jerry,
like
right
everybody
there.
else.
And Jerry,
it says
Roger,
energy,
Roger,
it's heat and
100%.
electric
Yep.
for the building.
For the quarter, you
That's
think?
all right. Page
And
18,
there shouldn't be much heat.
Mhm.
So that,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. Oh, I got it. But he's well within his budget. He's 100% of his purchases.
where are you?
Well, I'm on page 18, cemetery and parks, other purchased services.
But could that be like grass seed and that type of stuff? Do you know what I mean? Which
Mhm.
would be over the summer months.
Understood, but
Yeah, $100.
I just the grass in the fall and in the spring, you know. but-
probably, yeah. Yeah, so it's not grass, kid.
And again,
Maybe
that's
I
something
You
that was.
tell,
You're not a grass, but you're not. a
yeah,
cemetery.
I'm not,
88% building and maintenance. Are they doing stuff over there? Or is it?
Again, $100, you're $100 line, it's kind of like if you have to replace a light bulb, you're almost getting it.
100%?
Well, no, it's
They
kind of
only have
like,
$100 total line there.
Yeah. exactly, so
what's that one?
those two.
Oh,
those
I
two-
see. He has $100 and he spent it. He bought a
Yeah.
light bulb.
Or
Yeah,
not.
I'm joking.
Maybe you don't like-
No, I understand, but
Um,
I get it.
But you're not far wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's certain things that, you know, at $100, they're gonna go quick.
Yeah, but what was it that, so that we know going forward?
Mhm.
Yeah.
See, like seed, I would expect underground keeping supplies.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Who's banging in your roster?
What's that?
Is somebody banging in your office?
Was that coming from over there?
It sounded
just the
like.
bat.
Those are-
I'll check on that. I was there.
To get your roll. $100,
No wonder.
thank you for longevity. There you are, Carol, right there.
Okay, yes,
Uniforms, da-da-da.
don't get me started on the clothing allowance. I saw those clothing allowance lines and.
Well, you know, this is what
Whatever.
I think they should do, is that it shouldn't say uniform, because when you say uniform, that means that everybody's wearing the same thing, like
Mhm.
navy blue blazer,
Right.
Catholic school.
Again, the naming convention on that.
Yeah.
And it should have a
No, it doesn't mean everybody's wearing the same thing. It's clothing, it's safety clothing. It could be for Carla. I think she's got galoshes. I don't know what even department she's in. She probably is in the Board of Health still. I don't know. But everybody's got a different thing that they have to purchase. And it goes, the department provide, for the most part, it's things that need to be provided for them. And they don't like go spend it on their own. This includes safety equipment for them to wear, not just like the police uniforms. Police uniforms, it goes in the clothing allowance, and they're going to go into the weeds on that, which is just, and make accusations that they're stealing it. Yeah, they are.
town seal.
It should have a town seal
Yeah.
every time.
Anything that's bought other than shoes should have town seal.
I agree,
Why not?
1,000%.
Do-
Shoes, what do you put on?
In Boston on the sign. It can be done.
Oh, like
Yeah.
Nike with his,
Now this is getting asinine. They're going to put the town seal on, so they have to order them special so that the town seal is on everything. This is insane. This is completely nuts. That uniform allowance, some people, the department, will go to even Walmart or sometimes Amazon and purchase, or sometimes the individual for reimbursement, because we don't have a town credit card, they're not allowed. Which thank God, because anybody watching that will lose their minds. But they purchase things locally in different stores. Sometimes there might even be some kind of, I don't know, a quick jacket. They might buy things at even Apple Meadow. I don't, for that might fall under this line item, but these are not, it's not uniform. You know, if you want to do that, then we're going to have to increase that tenfold so that everybody that works for Townsend will be required to wear a uniform. So now we're going to talk about adding this thousands and thousands of dollars so that everybody's wearing the exact same clothing, no matter what department they work in. And that would be asinine. So to have this is not the FinCom. This is none of their business. This is the departments that are, and why are you talking about it now and not when the departments are submitting their budgets? That these were not questioned 6 months ago, but the uniform includes safety equipment like shoes or galoshes that I know Carla, when she at the Board of, and FinCom maybe should look at other meetings. But I know Carla from the Board of Health Department because she's an administrator and she doesn't dress like she goes running in the mud. She dresses as an administrator. But if she's got to go up to the landfill or the recycling center during inclement weather, you know, she's wearing some kind of galoshes. And she doesn't wear that kind of stuff normally. That's not part of her normal clothing. She apparently doesn't even have them in her personal life, which is fine. A lot of people don't. But she has the Board of Health pays for a cheap pair of galoshes that she buys at Walmart. And if somebody wants something more high end for that purpose, I mean, it makes no sense for the FinCom to do that. What's wrong with spending $20 at Walmart? I don't know what those cost anymore. I got a pair from Walmart I bought years ago that much cheaper than today, I'm sure. But this is just making me sick. This is why I have trouble watching their meetings, because they get into this stuff that has nothing to do with the role of the FinCom. This entire meeting, they never touch on what the role of the FinCom is. They don't do it. They're just getting into what's this department doing? They shouldn't spend $1.98 for that. What is that for?
I don't like that.
All right.
I'm not,
Yeah. But
just kind of
it's not a
like,
uniform.
All I want to know is if we're spending
It
money
should
on
be
clothing,
clothing expense.
it should be clothing expense, not
then
for
it
one of them,
should
but-
be,
Well,
should have a town seal or something, so.
I agree, 1,001%.
Because I've heard that people were buying clothes and then returning them for the cash or whatever.
Oh, I've heard that being done before.
No, that's asinine. This is ridiculous that they're going into, I heard, you know what? The uniform allowance or the clothing allowances, depending on the department, some departments are buying directly for a specific individual, and the individual doesn't buy this stuff. Okay? The department buys it for them. Some things are reimbursable, but they're actually, and they have to be approved by the department head and then again by the accountant. Usually on something, you know, small items like that, the department head will approve. To accuse somebody of now taking them and selling them somewhere, I don't know where they're selling them, returning them, but they don't have the actual receipt anymore. They've submitted it. It's no longer, and the department isn't going to have people buying clothing that they're not going to wear. And let's look at, I'm going to use the police department as an example. They have a clothing allowance. I don't know what it is, but the officers will have to purchase, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know how the department manages it, but if they get uniforms and stuff, I don't know if they have to order them through the department to get them and the clothing allowance is assigned during that process. Some departments do that. Or if the officer can order it wherever they want on their own, or go to try things on, or if they go order things, yeah, everything is online today. You could, but order their uniforms, including their gun belts, you know, their boots, their gun belts, all the different stuff they have all over the uniforms. Now they got all kinds of crap now. And remember the old days when they just used to have a shirt and pants. and boots and a hat. I don't know. Now they got all this extra stuff. And different season, they have the ski caps they wear in the winter too. It makes no sense to think that they've got an astronomical clothing allowance and that they're able to sell it. Oh, I'm going to buy these things, get the money, get reimbursed, and then I'm going to sell my police uniform. What are they wearing on the job? Pajamas? Police uniforms, that whole ensemble that they're wearing, it ain't cheap. And they're not replacing every item every year. Things happen on the job. Like if they go chasing after a suspect, or they're at a car accident and they rip their pants on the side of a vehicle because they didn't realize that there was some sharp object sticking out. These things happen. Or if they're chasing somebody, they're getting into the woods, or they have an altercation, their clothing gets damaged and they have to replace some of it. And their clothing allowance is it's union negotiated, okay? But it's also union negotiated, I'm going to say department approved. And if you have a problem with the clothing allowance, you should be talking about it when the budget is being set. Ask those questions then. Here, look at something. Yeah, okay. You have to keep checking that my mic's on. So, because, even if somebody is so stupid, or if they're going to sell something that they don't really need, that is just, it's not worth chasing down, because it's just not. If they're showing up for work with substandard uniforms, I mean, we can have a different conversation about that. But generally speaking, the department, the police chief or the lieutenant or the 2 or 3 sergeants that we have, the officers need to have a certain appearance, and they have to be wearing their equipment properly, and their lives depend on it. So when we're accusing somebody of doing something unlawfully with their clothing allowance, it gets to the point of ridiculous. And I think the police department, or whoever this was about, should be pissed about that whole conversation, because this doesn't happen. I know, and it's going to be pointed out to me personally that because I don't want to get into it, but where one officer sold one of their items used, they didn't need it anymore. They got a new one and they sold it to another officer, and the other officer submitted the receipt. I don't remember all the details, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything. And I think it was just a misunderstanding of, oops, we're not supposed to do that. There was no intent to defraud the town. It was, oh yeah, when you look at it, oh, you can see why they did it. But you're like, but even though, the town paid for it, and then you got this perfectly good piece of something, and this officer wants it, and he's going to use his clothing allowance for it, but it's really not. I don't think, and when I'm thinking about the actual incident that happened a decade ago, I mean, this probably happens again. I don't know. I don't care either. We're talking about something, there's not this, oh my God, there's all this, they've got this side business going where they're selling their uniforms. It's their lives are on the line. So, and plus their appearance. Sometimes an officer might not look as sharp as we'd like. And this is a fact. And somebody in the leadership of the police department should be speaking to those individual officers if they're coming up with wearing uniform, their uniform is falling apart on them. And, gee, patrolman, do you think maybe you should order a new shirt? Even their t-shirts, I don't even remember what color t-shirts they're wearing, but you got a white t-shirt that looks kind of brown. Maybe you need a new one. Your gloves are not protecting your hands. You need, there's all the, fire department too. Some of the firefighters, a lot of the fire equipment is paid for by the department directly. And some of the firefighters, they have a dress uniform, and I believe the town pays for them, or I think they should. And depending on the category of officer would depend on how that goes. But it's the FinCom getting into that. get out and to make an accusation that, oh, I heard, the FinCom needs to supervise the use of all the clothing allowance. No, that is not their job in any way, shape, or form. And to make an accusation like that, I think is really insulting to every single employee who gets any kind of equipment issued to them, either issued to them by the town or reimbursed to them by the town, especially if you're talking about a union process. This is not like some freebie benefit. And clothing allowance is for the benefit of the town, not the benefit of the employee. And I just am not going to go and agree at all that employees are taking advantage of this and selling the clothing on eBay or something. And if somebody does, it's really dumb. And I'm sure that it's not anybody's business except at the lower level, the department and maybe the accountant. If an individual, not necessarily an officer, any individual is all of a sudden somebody is spending too much more money than usual, even though there's something in a budget somewhere, they keep buying shirts. Why don't you wear pants? I mean, this is not FinCom. Get out of the weeds, people, and stop insulting the employees and accusing them of stealing.
And so,
Yeah,
so if you're purchasing, if you're allowed to purchase clothing for your work, then there's nothing that says we're coming out here like the towns.
So that would be a policy is what it should be.
That's a union, I heard that was the union's worrying about this, but I don't know why we can't say something about that as the source of the money.
Well, we can't because.
Well, I know
it's
that,
gonna
but I
affect-
mean, we, the citizens.
No,
not
but
the
we
FinCom.
would, if it were in our purview, we would recommend that they hire, that they contract with somebody like Land's End that does uniform logos, that you order strictly from one location.
Right,
And you
yeah.
order, so you have
Isn't it
long
ordered
sleeve
from
shirts,
that
short
for
sleeve shirts.
that stuff?
I wasn't here for that.
Well,
one.
what is private orders from Amazon and they have.
Right.
Kevin put their own logo.
Yeah, I don't know where jackets came
Yeah,
from.
you
and stuff.
put logos for the town and not to Italian.
Huh?
You could do logos for the town.
I think they,
But I
asked
think
for.
when you're hired for a job. And you get a clothing allowance, it should be a clothing allowance that is used
For
for
the
the
job.
job.
That was what it was meant for. I mean, especially when you're in and have to do field work, you have,
Well,
like,
absolutely, I
Well,
agree with that.
Yeah, like the water department.
We're not creating people's wardrobes for them.
No, that is not what this is meant to do. This is meant for the position. It has field work to do to provide clothing that,
But, Board of Health travel mileage is 219%.
Whoa, what?
Oh, yeah,
What
it
page
is.
you on?
Now 18.
Yeah, but it's an enterprise, so does that matter?
No, the
No.
whole thing is an enterprise.
it's
It's just
not.
crap.
But they only got $50 allocated.
What is
So where they go?
kind of,
page 18?
we'd have to ask, because this may get,
1980, Carla, where'd she go?
this budget was
Yeah.
set up before maybe she had to travel to, Shaw's or to deposit.
Yeah, they don't do the deposits in town, they have to go, I think they go someplace else. I don't think they do.
In the car, they drive in the car,
No,
like,
because they know town,
For what?
deposit.
On what?
All the checks.
money, I guess, like.
Right.
Like, can I write a check out to the water department and pay my bill?
They don't.
Well, that was a little different, yeah, but they
That's a whole different-
they do need to bring that to a physical location.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
No, it's not local.
And, yeah,
Okay,
it's kind of like,
$94.
and she's got more money coming in this year.
So that explains why it takes a month to get to.
This is another area that they shouldn't be concerning themselves with. Unless she put $2,000 in her mileage budget for 1 month or something. And say, what, did she go on vacation? No. We already know. I mean, the FinCom shouldn't be looking at this at all. Not at all. The mileage is a reimbursable expense. The Board of Health is the one who manages and signs the invoice that goes over to accounting. They have to justify, Carla has to justify to them the mileage that she's putting on. That's their responsibility. And they're an elected board. You can't deal with this at all. And if if an employee is being refused the mileage in order to do their job, then we're going to have to get another vehicle back. The town sold that there was a like a pool vehicle that different departments could use in order to save some money, but they chose not. They ended up selling it. That was a Joe Shank idea, and so that it, I don't know why it was really dumb, but anyway, and to me, but the mileage. Just she's apparently over mileage, but this is not where FinCom needs to put their energy. That she does drive around different places, especially now with the trash thing. If you knew anything about what Carla's doing, you would know that she's got to deal with the different places. She's got to check in and find out, keep on top of things on where the trash bags thing. She does more than trash, but the trash bags are all over town. People are trying to figure this out still. And she does house calls. A lot of people are struggling, at least in the early stages of this new plan with the stickers on top of the trash bags, to help residents figure out where to put them, and how is the system working. And she goes and helps people manage what they have to make sure that their sticker is posted someplace that's going to be usable. She also regularly has to travel to Neshoba Board of Health. We've got the kiosk in the lobby there that you can put used needles. You get one of these bin things, and she has to go take them. I think she's the one that's doing that. I don't think anybody's coming, although there could be somebody now. But to go down to the Neshoba Board of Health, and there's other administrative reasons which are not my business or the FinCom's. But we contract with Neshoba Board of Health to take care of a lot of our heavy lifting, and she will go to their office periodically, and there may be other meetings that she has to go to, or she needs to purchase supplies for the office, which she does, including her uniform or clothing allowance. Oh, here we go. But to see that her mileage is up, I am not surprised. That doesn't raise a flag with me at all, because I know with everything that she's been trying to do with, getting this trash thing on an even keel, it's impacting her hours. She's put in extra hours. We have some grant money that some of it is going to that. And I don't know how much of this is transferred in and out. I don't think things are billed directly to a grant. I think it has to filter through our regular budget. I can't speak to that, but that's an accounting question, not a FinCom question. So let's get back to the movie.
Big plan. It could be that
So,
we
I
should be done with.
don't
I agree
understand
with
all
that,
the
but
technology, but.
So far, I have
Because, like,
logged
just-
3 months since when my wife gave them a check, and when I finally get it back.
It should go, it really should.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with you there at all.
What the treasurer was,
In other words,
We had that issue with another organization.
The Board of Health has really been, it looks like, singled out and penalized. They have $50 for professional services, or whoever, and $25 for office supplies.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
And nothing
I mean,
for
why
other
can't you buy a
supplies.
ream of paper for $25?
and again,
who's paying for those stickers? Oh, that's the enterprise.
that's gonna be the enterprise,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
But if you look at the bottom line,
The 300,
The bottom line, they ran a negative.
we sure are.
on the expenses.
This is again where they only get $25 for office supplies. Get out of this business here. This is just too much detail.
$2 for
But they
travel and
were
mileage.
$25
Well,
for,
Okay, so other supplies,
just supply $25?
so,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's happening,
and-
and zero for other supplies.
right, which is the big thing. When you look at it, it says zero
Yeah.
over in the variance column, so it almost says, oh, zero, I don't have to look at it. Well, that's overdrawn because there was no money put in there. So it doesn't go negative. It's kind of like, so that's something we have to be careful with on the BVA. When you see zero over there, that's not necessarily.
Right, it didn't make, yeah.
It's an unfunded, line.
But if
Right,
you
and
put
then
you
down
have
the
to look
next
at the
line, it's
unexpended
the
balance.
total line is
Yeah.
negative.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because, I mean, if we're looking at it,
But again, this level of detail is unnecessary. If things, because that happens in every department, that some things do end up going over because the budget is the budget, but you can't predict every single, how some of the expenses can happen. And setting the budget, particularly for the Board of Health, you can't, because the trash was up in the air and the select board is, and the FinCom, cut. And so they had to conform. And so some of the things are going to be off a little, and we're going to see that by every single department as the months go by. And I'm confident transfer season for the FinCom is going to be a busy one. But that's okay. That they need to get out of the weeds now and look at what kind of issues are coming forward or are coming up for setting a budget for fiscal year 20. Fiscal year 27, because the way the budget was done for 26 is very disturbing and the worst I've ever seen. And they're still negotiating the union contract, so we have yet to see what's going to happen. But those are the bigger things that the FinCom needs to look at, not this line item nonsense that they're doing tonight.
That's $125.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. And I think it's like a retaliation move on the board of selectmen. I think that's horrible. $25.
Again, it's kind of like their copier supplies are paid for by the building department. It's kind of like, so.
So what about the paper clips and that?
The Board of Health submitted their budget and apparently it was only for $25. Let's move on to the next item. No chance.
Right, it's kind of like, it's what
What are on paper clips, I'll ask me director.
Which I have no idea. They don't do a central
Supply.
supply.
Right, yeah, it's kind of like, that's the thing, there's no central office supply purchases.
But
That would be
But,
more efficient.
It's just the paper is
Mhm.
the thing that's bought.
like a company store kind of thing. where you keep everything.
but then you have to have somebody to manage it and unlock the key and who's walking around.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this,
They're not ready.
there's lots of, there's,
It's not ready for this one.
I mean, we've already kind of got a little bit of that. We're keeper of the paper over in the
Yeah.
clerk's office.
Yeah.
We've got 10 boxes of paper and then they sign out on a checklist,
Mhm.
you know, how many reams they're taking.
right, yep. I mean, we
So we
did that,
got paper clips to the mix.
yeah.
Do that, pens, paper clips.
We did that with town meeting. It's kind of like
White out,
what we were
white out,
printing.
white out,
Mhm.
bulk, white out. bulk.
No, those are good. It's kind of like they might be something there. We'll see. I'm thinking some of the other supplies might have been the labels for,
Oh, label.
for trash. It's kind of like,
Oh, the yellow label?
right, it's kind of like, so it's kind of
But
like,
we're just guessing.
it definitely, so it's kind of like, so that's something.
No facts.
Yeah,
It
no,
shouldn't have come out.
okay, it's kind of like, so we'll talk to,
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll get to the bottom. Then we go again, COA.
COA, Council on Aging,
Okay,
senior center.
the senior people and professional services.
Yes.
Yeah, like that. Just asking the question.
Where's that?
On page 20. It's-
Professional services, are on.
Are those like the class teachers that? teach the
No,
class?
because people pay.
What about people coming in to talk to them about their,
Medicare.
Medicare and their,
Usually
Detail,
you
need
see those
details,
people, I
details.
think, like the Shine volunteer.
Yeah, that's
But-
good. I
but-
thought.
Medicare, and I know I had a friend who was a Shine and she was a volunteer, she didn't get paid.
Yes, his Shine is, but I don't know if they use Shine up there.
I know they have somebody, but they have a nurse if somebody comes in and does blood pressure, I don't know if
But I
they
think
pay.
that's part of the show.
Joan Valley.
Yeah.
The details on that one too.
And again, because it's at 105 already, just
Yeah.
and again, is that a line that was cut at the beginning of the
Well,
year?
no.
It's kind of like, so,
But even if it was cut though,
right, we should have,
it's still, that means you still have to live within that cut budget.
Apparently not.
well,
I
well,
mean,
but again, it's kind of, and their
I understand that.
their expenses are at
but the other
64%.
supplies.
Already, it's kind of like, so if we're using the number for third,
Other and professional, we got off,
Yeah.
86 on that, that's training.
right, so.
Yeah,
if you-
training and dues.
That's,
the whole
I mean,
different
that I
thing.
don't care about,
Yeah.
but other, I thought we made a pact among
No,
us
no
that
more
we weren't
other,
taking
no more
other as a
miscellaneous.
cancer. We did that last year, and miscellaneous and other, we want details.
Yep.
It's other people's money and we need to be conscientious. 51.9, we go to the following at the recreation department, they're not. Oh.
No, what's that, the clothing allowance? But the kids at the summer rec
Have shirts.
have shirts with staff on it and the logo and stuff like that, so.
But that should come out of the revolving.
Yes, thank you, Dawn.
Oh, right, because that's,
Yes.
This is,
that would
this-
be Emmy's
Yes,
clothing.
Clothing, it's Emmy's clothing.
That's right.
So she should be wearing a uniform as a recreation person, because she's out and
Yeah.
about.
You get your paid for
Well,
the,
you'd
Get
have
a
to
little
see
more
their,
strict with that.
you'd have to see the receipts
it,
to
yeah,
see what it.
right.
Well, I wanna see logos on the clothes, if they buy them, I wanna see
Yeah.
logos. I really do.
When the
That
union
makes-
contract is drawn up, does everybody get the same clothing allowance in, like in the supervisors union or in
I don't-
the clerical?
No, they don't. It's based on the needs of the employee and the department. If it's a union contract and if it's a union contract, like the officers would all, police officers, I like picking on them. Police officers would probably have the same exact clothing allowance. And it's got to be like things, like almost everybody in the police department is the same. Like the secretaries or the clerical staff, the administrative staff isn't going to have a clothing allowance. If they do, it's not going to be anywhere near what the police officers have. So each position would have, I mean, and the unions, this is not in the, this is completely, I mean, them saying that they want to see this stuff is ridiculous.
Union, or is it by department?
By person.
I think it,
I think it's by position.
By
my
position?
position,
think so.
I think you'll
So
see
it
that,
could vary,
Some of the clothing allowances do vary, they're not.
Right.
okay,
yeah,
all right.
but I thought they were pretty consistent, right? Department head or supervisor versus workers, but I think it's kind of like other. Certain of the jobs, I have to go through and look at every expense line. And stuff.
Well,
That's why it's so big.
The town clerk's department, they don't have a
There's no
clothing.
clothing allowance.
allowance. Does Jeff have a clothing allowance?
I
No.
don't think so.
So, but the assessors do,
Right, because they go out.
but they go out, so that's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
And Jack would be in the same union as Vicky, right?
Jody,
Yeah,
Jody.
Nope.
no, Vicky,
Oh,
he's supervisor.
supervisor.
he's supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that kind of answered that. All right, just curious about
I
that.
think
Because
I-
some
yeah.
people get more than
Another
others.
position, yeah.
Well,
That's-
that's,
that's kind of-
well, and we're a blazer with logo on says Townsend, what,
I mean, I can see why some
I mean, I can-
workers get bigger.
I mean, if you're going out
I don't think
waiting in
the,
wetlands, you need the.
no, I get that.
Right, yeah.
But,
You've
but,
seen that.
you know, if you're gonna go to, like Eddie Bauer and buy a,
I
you know,
agree.
rebel-proof barn jacket with a corduroy suede collar versus a jean jacket at Walmart versus the jacket that would be sold from the company store, it's a whole different story.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna go buy a nice Parker, it should have the town logo
Well,
on
I
it.
think so, for
Yeah.
not North Face.
Then, you know, then you can have your nice Parker for your,
And for
Yeah.
a job that you
Yeah.
go out on the field with.
or you buy a nice Parker for yourself.
I never- I
Then
never-
you don't take it on the field, but, you know.
Well,
I
yeah.
would think if somebody's out in the field and other people saw them out there and they didn't have something to identify them as the town working person.
Yeah.
Then they shouldn't be out there.
No, I agree.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
Then are they
representing-
allowed to wear it to Walmart, to go
What?
shopping?
Well,
No,
that's
I know,
I-
yeah.
Okay,
I'm sure that they were, but,
well, I wear mine all the time.
Oh, okay.
but I mean, if they're just
Well,
buying it
no,
for the
no,
sake
that-
of,
Showing off.
Show, yeah,
Look, that's from Townsend.
I know.
I'm not gonna get into it because.
because I know it's so sore.
Yeah.
Life insurance.
So,
Okay.
Thank you for hurrying. No, let's go to Betty. Okay, she's already spent 71% of her budget, and it was not even summer. How
It's
does it work?
perfect.
no, because
It's
it
perfect.
But
covered
she's
the
all
summer.
done, isn't she?
She's right up, she's only got two or three more
What
concerts in
event?
June.
Oh, okay.
She's got Memorial Day, and that's at zero.
Oh, within the, so she's got,
And then on band concerts, she's got 25% to cover June concerts.
so she was originally given 10,000, but she spent 77.
Mhm.
So you're saying this is for the Memorial Day parade next year?
No, the Memorial Day is on sheet 21. So bottom of sheet 21 is Memorial Day.
Oh, okay. The 70, so the 2,000 is the kitty leftover from not spending in the summer?
Okay, so,
We can drop her down.
no, it's kind of like because June is part of FY 26, so her June concerts are each year.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like
Okay.
July and
Yeah,
August
right.
pretty much take up
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
got it.
The majority, yeah.
yeah.
majority, but you gotta have that little bit left over for June.
Other supplies, it's not working.
Uh,
It's zero. Yeah, what's it?
Did she buy
Nothing,
anything?
nothing
She
yet.
didn't buy anything.
Oh, she's gonna buy something, really. Wow, where's Memorial Day?
Memorial Day is on 21.
Yes,
Bottom
so
three rows.
that would be,
That's,
so other supplies would be the flowers.
The flowers,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right,
Is professional services the band?
the bands, yeah.
You have
No,
professional
you have
services
band-
and you
No,
have
band
band.
services. She does have, what else does she bring in?
What's her total amount she's getting for the whole year?
Okay, wait, for Memorial Day or the band concert?
The whole thing.
Okay,
So
that's-
that's 16.
between the two is
Is this,
1066 and
16,
well,
7?
Memorial Day is 6,600.
6605 and,
It's for Memorial Day is 6605?
Yeah.
you know,
How come that's so much?
Well,
And flowers.
and the bus, she hires the
and
bus.
the bus, and then
Oh,
the
the
bus
bus.
service.
The bus
Yeah.
is
The
huge.
bus is ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh, she buses them from the West Townsend to the center.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting deep into the weeds on something that has been going on for decades. If anybody's ever, well, I mean, I can't physically do the Memorial Day parades anymore. But when I did, there's 2 parades in Townsend. Oh, first of all, this is outside of the realm of what the FinCom should be looking at. That's number one. I start there every single time. That the everybody marches from the VFW to the West Townsend Cemetery on Dudley Road. And then all the school buses are lined up there. Because then the second, and the band, the marchers, all of the marchers that need a ride get on these buses. And they really aren't, they were like all these veterans. No, there's only like half a dozen. I mean, the number of veterans that actually participate in this is pretty low. Considering, I mean, there aren't that many people at all that participate in this, but anybody that needs a ride will get on the buses and then be transported to Spalding School. And that's where the parade picks up again for the second parade of the day. And then they'll march down the hill from Spalding and then go to the Memorial Hall and then around the Common, and then they go over to the Riverside Cemetery on Highland Street. And then they march back from there and come to the center of town. And then mostly, I don't know that the buses are used again. I don't think so. I don't remember there being buses after that. Could be, but I don't think so. Usually what we always did, I mean, I live in West Townsend, so I would march from my house. I would walk to the V and or where the ceremony started and then march to the cemetery. And I would just walk home and then probably, use the facilities, have something to drink, water or something, because now it's exhausting. Marching even that distance is exhausting, even if you're in good shape. So then I would get in my car and park behind Town Hall and then walk over to Spalding and walk down the hill, a march, and then my car is sitting behind Town Hall. A lot of people also have somebody else in their family meet them after the parade and whatnot. People in the band, they have all their band equipment, so there has to be plan B for them. It's not just it's convenient to walk around with a tuba. So, but I mean, getting into this detail on, well, why don't they take their own cars? Not, come on. And these are expenses that we've been doing for decades. And we've already cut back, which they're going to, I don't even know if they did already, but we've cut out a couple of band concerts. It's getting less and less interest in having these things. So I don't know. I'd have to look at their budget and their expenses to see. I'm not the least bit worried about it. I know that everything has been reduced because of the budget, and Betty May's not happy, but they're getting too much into the detail. I think if anything, the FinCom should be looking at what's the total cost, how much of an impact on the budget does this have, and make community type recommendations and maybe even 2 choices. Continue as is, or maybe bring back those extra, what's the impact on the budget? And these are lists that should be available to make choices, make determinations, and have conversations at the bigger level, and not worrying about, well, why is she paying money for buses? These are department issues, not. And if anybody is miserly in this town, it's Betty May Tenney. Believe me, I used to do a lot of work with her with the V, and it's like, oh my God, please, do we really have to get this cheap? And she would. She really doesn't spend a lot of money. She doesn't. She cuts every penny out of things that she can in every aspect, trust me. But this is questioning these kind of things is just, it'd be better off, let's just cancel them altogether, because this, if you're going to harass the band things, it's just too much. I can't take it. Anyway, onward.
Can't you use those DAV trucks?
Well,
Cars?
I am.
Probably not. It's gonna,
Oh yeah, Mary Jane, just can't she use the DAV vans? Well, there's not enough room. First of all, and we don't own them. They're owned by the department, no, Disabled American Veterans. That's who owns the vehicles. The town has no access to those. None. We allow them to park. They have one responsibility, and that is to take veterans to medical appointments at VA facilities around the region. That's their one thing, and they are driven by volunteers who are usually some of our veterans. I'm just, this, no. But this is the kind of stuff that is none of the business of the FinCom.
Well, it's veteran.
But there's so many of them. So the band members were there.
the band members do.
And it's actually,
Yeah, they're bringing all their,
And you can't ask them to walk back. They do, West Townsend.
I'm gonna scan
Yeah.
so.
it. That would take it,
This is one of the lines that was cut, it was cut by about $2,000
Mhm.
from 12 to 10, 1
Yep. So she
well,
did.
she has 10
Yeah.
around 10 grand.
Okay, so she's already been cut.
She's been, yes, she was,
That's almost done. Stay tuned. What are we miss? Well, let's see. Flag commission,
committee.
anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, what's this? I know that's something else.
MWPA.
Manages.
where were you?
That's underneath band concerts on page 22,
Yeah, it says LTD.
Long-term disability.
Oh, okay.
not excluded.
long-term debt.
Long-term debt, long-term disability,
Yeah, no.
LTD, limited, okay, good.
Long-term debt.
Long-term.
It's long-term debt?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Harrison.
Thank you.
Long-term,
All depends on where you're from.
exactly. And then we have interest on the executive fire station. Correct, what's it? 29,000. Does anybody know what's going on with the two new fire trucks?
I've always heard rumors, I haven't.
Well, what I did hear was it was in Hudson, but I can't figure out what's in Hudson.
Haverhill.
Or Haverhill.
Haverhill, but he needs $125,000 to outfit him.
And why wasn't this in the contract? Well, they bought the fire
I thought
trucks.
he had, I thought it was.
When we.
Well, that's what he said at the
already-
last meeting, the
Mm.
last board
Okay.
selectmen meeting.
Yeah.
he
But
said
were you sitting on that committee then, and that's like, about,
I was not on capital planning, but I, you know, it was
In
presented.
the original.
well, I think that would be an ask him if there was anything that he needed, I mean,
Mhm.
Well, fully operational.
Right.
Fire truck.
so wouldn't that be?
If it was spent, $1,000,000 for each truck. And then
No, it's kind of like,
I mean, I know you need to have to buy new hoses and all, that's obvious,
Isn't it on?
but is there anything that can be, what else can we do?
can be parked forward.
I don't know.
It's not coming to our house.
So.
Yeah.
What's it missing, the fire hoses?
I don't know.
I think so.
No,
I think
we have
that's
no
one of them.
details, no, and you're not allowed to ask
That is
questions.
one of the things.
So
No
it's
questions?
kinda-
No
No, but
Wow.
it's kind of like, but those are pieces, you know, it's kind of
Of
like.
course they're pieces, they're big pieces, John, because they're big numbers.
Maybe
And
it
then
goes
They
back.
are.
They
to these
affect the tax
contracts.
dollars.
I thought it had been
There you
discussed
Be an
there
email.
before, about
Read.
how it was gonna be paid for.
No, it was
It is
discussed, but it wasn't.
Oh, you can-
Maybe you should, Carol.
Oh, I don't know if I want to work that.
Are you a union negotiator too? Could you do that?
Mm.
I don't know, but I can write the contract. I do know how to write contracts, because that's what I did for a lot of years.
Well, maybe you should go talk to them and say,
Mm.
hey, maybe I can help you
Maybe I
out.
can help you.
Well, it's too late now, I mean.
Oh, no, yeah, it's too late.
we're gonna have fire trucks that aren't gonna be useful, just like we have gym equipment that's, it's.
Exactly, we're sitting there
Mm.
with $2 million worth of fire trucks, $150,000 worth of gym equipment, and here we are.
And we can't use any of it.
No.
Yep.
I mean, that is not
And the highway
good.
department is lumping a lot.
And the highway
with
department
fire
won't be
trucks.
plowing the snow this winter.
Well, maybe they
Did they
stop
get
plowing
their-
this winter.
Did
Well,
they get
then,
their-
you don't need fire
did
trucks
they get
going in
their
there, because you won't be able to get there.
Well,
I don't
when there's
know.
a quarter inch of snow on the ground,
They
the
probably did.
plow comes through. I'm not a happy.
Okay.
camper.
Sorry, it's kind of like,
That's all
Um,
we're going to.
any other?
I don't think they
Can we
Question?
follow
What?
up on this?
won't understand. It might
On
be
the
our
fire
height,
truck?
but I don't.
No, 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 that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, the detail, the line.
Yeah, the items, just
Do
so
they
we
still
have.
pre-treat the roads?
I don't
Remember
know.
how they
Yeah,
used,
well,
they pre-treated the
That's
roads?
not what I'm-
When they-
We're getting off topic, we're getting off,
I only let, yeah, we need it, but I'm just
The
gonna,
phrase we
I-
use.
I was,
We're over past the highway department. anyway.
I was cleaning up
Um,
and I found some really old documents in.
Yeah.
And I had a stuffer from when the Board of Health first instituted the recycling and trash bin pickup.
Oh, okay.
And then I had a little, it was a full-page flyer folded in thirds from the highway department about, it's now winter season and this is what we're gonna do, how we're gonna pre-treat the roads. So when it starts snowing, this is what we're gonna do. It's kind of like they had their whole procedure
Really?
documented.
nice.
Really?
And as an education for the town going out in the tax
Oh,
bill.
that's a great
And
idea.
it was like,
Do they still do it?
no, but it's kind of like, what's old might be new again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's always probably never on tape.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I mean, but it was just a reminder of how did, yeah, what was going
Well,
on.
maybe you should give that to the highway department and say, here, maybe the.
Again, this is not FinCom business. I mean, as citizens, as, you know, if you're looking at a different level, like, I know that there is sometimes confusion. I think that maybe should be sent out to the FinCom members so they'll understand the work of the highway department, because they don't, apparently. And the select board, I mean, the communication to the town really belongs in the purview of the select board. And we can all, and I complain loudly about the lack of communication that comes from them. But this is great information, but not the FinCom just taking a side trip here on this. That has nothing, you know, this is not FinCom business. And it's the budget, talk about the budget, the highway budget if you want, but not how they tell the residents what they're doing. I give up. I almost give up.
This is what it's reading to do.
Yeah, or I put it back in your, I think they still do all of it, but it's just that it was a reminder sent out to, in a tax bill that
Do you remember what year that was? Was that when they went to all salt?
2012, maybe? You kind
I
of,
know.
no, it's not,
Okay.
2002,
Well,
2002.
It was liquid, it's some kind of a liquid, isn't it?
No,
That's how they pre-treat, but, they went to all salt for a while, I think around 2016 or so.
I don't think it's all
Yeah.
salt anymore, because I think salt's very expensive.
salt and sand. It's,
It's not salt, and it wasn't all salt years ago either. It's been it's a chemical. I can't remember the name of it. But it's used pretty much across the country now, because it's less hazardous and it's cheaper than, definitely safer than using all sand. There are times that they have to, you see, I'm going off topic myself, but the sand is only used when it's too cold for some of the salt mixture. It has to include some sand because this ice stuff, some of it will wash away if it's heavy rain, and some of it won't adhere to the road if it's too cold. So sand gets mixed in with it sometimes, but most of the time it's not a actual salt. We call it salt because it's easier to say, but it's some other chemical mixture that I can't think of right now. But these guys shouldn't be splitting hairs over this. They should just be looking at the snow and ice reports over and looking how things are, not detailed on how they are this month, looking at the highway budget. They need to look at the trend for this, which I will be doing. I will be doing a video on this, on the highway department, and not to attack them, to educate, to look at the budget as a trend, not to say the highway needs to cut. I'm saying the town people need to be aware of what it costs to maintain our roads and what we need to be considering. especially if the potential actual need for an override.
The salt and sand mix.
Yeah,
But, for a while, we in Timberley Park had requested no salt at all,
Oh,
and it
because
was
of the-
sand only, because at the bottom of the hill was the well.
Oh, that's right.
They kind of, and so.
Is that why you're picking up your hill?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get back on topic. We're gonna get,
Okay, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like?
Okay.
We're doing-
Sorry, discuss the feedback on the police constable position. So we have,
Okay.
we've kept Harrison here all night.
Yes, speak.
Well, if we have to suffer, he has to suffer. I'm happy to be here.
You're happy to
You don't
be
mind? No, I'm not. Well,
Come on, Sam, you love coming to these
You
meetings.
like it.
yeah, but not at 7 o'clock at night.
We're gonna move down to 60.
Thank you.
Anthony.
Thank you.
Me.
Kathy, thank you for backing me on that.
Has anyone, or I should say, has everyone had a chance to read the memo I sent out? I sent it out by email.
Sorry.
Did
and I read it.
everyone have a chance?
I read one and it didn't have anything to do with that.
Okay, all right.
Do you want him to read it, Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna repeat it just so it's fresh for everyone. And pardon the scratchy voice. At the request of the Finance Committee Vice Chair, Mary Jane Churchville, I'm submitting this memorandum to clarify the recent increase in election-related expenditures. Earlier this year, the Select Board made the decision to stop appointing constables. When your committee, during a joint meeting, requested justification for this change, the Select Board indicated that they would not provide an explanation to you or rationale for the shift in policy. Historically, the town has utilized a constable for election-related duties, or election security rather, for a flat daily.
I know they don't want to hear me say this, but this is also getting outside the realm of the FinCom. It is appropriate to address the money part of this only, not the politics. Not the politics. Functioning as a FinCom, it is completely appropriate, and I highly recommend it, is to simply create a report which that has columns on it, maybe a table included, to show the increase, the impact on the town, not the general public. When functioning as a FinCom, your responsibility is strictly the impact on the budget. Harrison is reading this document, and he's got a problem in his office because of the policy that they're discussing, the constable thing, which I agree, but that this is too bad that the Select Board made this call, and too bad there's no communication about it, and it's just a pissing contest, I guess. I don't know, but the FinCom needs to just be reporting and bringing people's. It's not the FinCom's purview to go back to constable, but it is their purview to provide just a reminder or an advisory, call it an advisory, that this is the impact on the budget, on the changes, the increase for other functions that we use constables for. And, constables at meetings, at town meetings, that the annual town meeting, special town meeting, and all elections, as well as, and then making comparative numbers for the police, how much it would cost with the constables, how much with the police, and each kind of event. And just as an advisory, without getting into politics. And getting into the politics is a personal decision by each of these members, not the FinCom itself. I know that sounds weird to say it's not the FinCom's responsibility to advise the Select Board that they should go back to constables, because I know there's something else. There's more to it. I'm not saying I agree with the Select Board. I'm just saying there's more to it than just a financial one. But it is the FinCom's responsibility, and it's their only responsibility to discuss the financial impact of this policy change and to present it as an advisory. And and it will impact the budget this year. There's things that are completely unfunded, the money's just pouring out of the town clerk's office, as well as for planning for fiscal year 27 on the number of, how many elections are we going to have? Because you never know if we're going to have an override special town meeting, if we're going to have an election that's specific to an override, say, which hopefully better planning can be done. I'm completely against a spring special town meeting separate just to see if the town will vote for an override, because I don't think that makes any sense. It's too soon anyway, because they don't have the budget done yet. So asking for an override is senseless. That's my politics. Let's get back to this waste of time.
Rate of $210. And that, the second packet you have is the most recent bill of the constable, and then you also have the most recent, police bill. In contrast, in the absence of the constable, we had to have a police detail for the July 29th election. The total expense for that day was $1,288.88. And there were 2 hourly rates that added up to that total. And that represents over 600% increase in the cost of a single election's security detail. I do want to say and give great credit to, a full commendation to both Sergeant Reedy and I believe it was Lieutenant Peach who did the second half of the day. They were both excellent, and did their jobs, did it very well. This is not, anything to do with them as far as that. The question Mary Jane had posed is why did this increase occur? I don't have an answer for why, beyond the fact that that's the policy decision that was made. I continue on towards the bottom here. Given the town's well-documented financial constraints, the additional cost per election exceeding $1,000 is significant. This expenditure does not appear to have yielded any difference operationally, and could have been avoided through continuation of the prior policy of constable appointments or through future reconsideration of the policy. Further, this expense was not accounted for in the fiscal 26 budget for our spring annual town election. And as a result, supplemental appropriations will be necessary at an upcoming town meeting to cover these unanticipated costs and to prevent deficit spending in the current fiscal year as it relates to that. I'm happy to address any questions you have on this. I've given you the backup materials. I'll preface, I can't speak to why the policy change was made, but operationally, the booking the police detail went very well. The officers did a great job, but it's $1,088 and change more expensive.
So do we have to pay this bill?
But that's already been paid.
Oh, because Harrison Air requested it.
Yeah, yeah, I did notice that. And I know what you mean. When this bill first came in, I sent it to the select board office. Where would you like to take this out of? Because this wasn't budgeted. And you'll notice the document preceding the bill itself was, instead of responding to that email, it was just submitted by Nelson to the accounting department to be paid. And out of the special article, that article was set aside because we have 2 state elections next year that are each probably going to cost on the order of $8,000 to execute. And so now
Did that include these 1288?
maybe roughly I think it's closer to 8,500, including the police cost. Because we're not printing the ballots ourselves, so there's some leeway versus if we're printing the ballot ourselves for a local election, there's an increased cost there. So it kind of evens out a little bit. 8,500 in election, including the police detail cost, is about right.
Right. And with those, there's early voting, so there's additional cost with early
Well,
voting.
there is.
But
We do get reimbursement after the fact, but that comes 6 to 12 months.
But I think my concern more than is, I don't even know the word to use. When we as FinCom representing the residents and the taxpayer ask questions of our board of selectmen and we get the snarky, you don't have the right to know. That's my concern. Are they representing the people or are they representing somebody that we don't know in the background?
That little booklet that came in, that we talked about earlier, the handbook, right there on page 1, is what our responsibilities are in a little block. And that means, we need an answer.
And we didn't
We
get,
may not, they may not, if there's anything about anybody, the town or the selection or
Right.
anybody paying attention to what we say. Our responsibility is to advise.
so if we can't get it from them, we have to go further.
Or
Or other
not
directions.
recommend. If we don't have the answers,
Right.
we
But they were made aware of how that was gonna affect the town clerk's office
And
Yeah, before it happened.
before it happened.
And I-
Yes, as soon as I heard about it.
And they noted in their February 18th minutes from this year that, that it's something to the effect of, the impact on elections needs to be looked at further. And then the second reading of that draft policy, right, it might have been the first time it came back to them, but they voted it that night. They just voted it without, according to the minutes, without.
And this is a political conversation. That's all I have to say.
For the discussion on the matter as it relates to the increase in cost. And so, there's a concern there as it relates to, this body making recommendations. It may make sense to do some sort of comparison chart, what an election cost before and what an election cost after, to help inform the residents.
And I think the idea that we're not getting answers is not just specifically to the Board of Selectmen. This was very helpful to us in defining our position and telling us that we're on the right track.
Yeah, happy to answer those
Yeah.
questions for you.
We did
And,
that. I think the other departments could be as helpful, because then we wouldn't have this crazy tension between us.
and if there are other questions, if there's additional data that would be helpful in preparing that type of comparison.
Yeah, I think we should do that comparison.
I can provide that additional data to help make that possible.
Because we don't know if there's gonna be another move like this.
There may, and the costs are only increasing. Those rates were current as of this current fiscal year. I believe there's several union negotiations that are
Yeah.
up for renewal. Is it gonna be, an average of $80 an hour for the detail rate moving forward? Is it gonna be
And
90?
the other side of that point is we're a small town.
Mhm.
This was a small job. The person who had it needed it. And
Yeah,
I
I
know
can't
that's
speak to
another.
that.
Excuse me.
I can't speak to
No, I
that, but
understand you
it was
can't,
very cost effective.
But I think it also goes further than that, not having, not allowing constables to be appointed in the town affects the town people too. Because,
Them too, though.
because they cannot have a police officer serve, eviction notices and that, so they have to.
As much as I agree with what Kathy is saying here, it's political. This is not under the purview of the FinCom. And these are facts that I agree with, but outside of the realm of the FinCom. This is absolutely, these are important points, but the FinCom should not be addressing them at all within their committee. This is something that, as individuals, they want to politic on. Fine, but this is not part of financial decision making. This is because they're not funding anybody's personal life, and it's not their role to determine what citizens need as far as private constable services. That's political. And I know plenty of you don't want to hear me say this stuff, but it's none of the as a committee, it's not the FinCom's business. Their business is strictly looking at the finances.
Go to the sheriff's department, which costs them a lot more money. And having a constable, appointing a constable does not cost the town money. We're not paying the town does not pay the constable unless they use the
They do a
services
service.
for an election. But other than that,
So
I mean,
in service, if they're posting or evicting, that comes out.
that comes out of
the
the person
client.
who's, if I call a constable, I have to pay the constable.
Gotcha.
And there was an instance just this morning where another official in town hall here needed a constable right away to post or to serve a notice of violation to. And after some research, it turns out that the police department was able to do it, but the constable is the one who had always come, to do that on a moment's notice. The other option was to call the sheriff's office. And by the way, the lead time for the sheriff's office is 5 to 6 weeks. And it's not something you can have done on a moment's notice where, I know our former constable, you could call and have same day service, the vast majority of needs.
Yeah, and we've used different constables over the years, and they've all been wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's
I
not,
think we should be revisiting this as a recommendation if it comes up again, which it will.
The town,
The bloody lawyer shot it down the line when she had it there, and where have we gotten with that idiot?
Well, I can tell you where I put in a public records request for the evidence that past constables have created chaos by arresting people illegally. I can't remember how I worded it. I'm sure,
yeah,
because town council said that the liability exists of a town constable illegally arresting someone or having something, it was about arresting. So I asked how many times that happened in Townsend, and I'm still waiting. I'm gonna probably die waiting.
sure it's never happened in town.
I don't think it has, and I asked another question too. I have to revisit that. But I asked two questions. As
Something about carrying a gun or.
it might have been about a gun. How many gun accidents do we have with the constable? So I have no answer.
They've never carried a gun in this building that I'm aware of, that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't thought.
And if there was any issues, then we call the police to come over.
Right, right. So please, the top
Right,
rocks, right, the 18.
And For a larger election, you want to have a police officer in the area
Sure.
because of what's going on nationally, but for smaller elections, an override election, an annual election, even the state elections aren't real,
It's international, I mean, it's a small town.
right?
There's no, the only people we need to be protected from is the government itself, as it stands right now.
And the
And
clerk's office was never consulted on it.
Oh, really? So it's the unilateral move with no input because somebody
Somebody just decided. to-
had some kind of a
I
moment,
don't know, yeah, I have no idea, because they won't say why.
and that's suspect right there. When you make a decision for a town, for other people, you should have it.
Especially when it's such a large financial.
To put the burden on the taxpayer, that's what they did.
600%.
600% burden on the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't tell us
not
why.
just the
And
burden, it's
economy,
the unnecessary burden.
fiscal,
Yeah, it's not like we're rolling in dollars. You think, yes, no,
Yeah,
very-
absolutely.
Nice
Yeah,
I'll, certainly be in touch as we get closer to free cash appropriations, because there will be an article also related to election, replenishing that election. article.
I was gonna say, it was originally 22,000 we put in there.
Yeah, it's down to about eight change.
Yeah, it was really meant to there, so, yeah, we need to get more.
But, that did get through many special elections, many, it got through a season of state elections.
Yeah.
It did get far, and we still have enough for maybe 1 1/4 elections out of it.
Yeah, but
It's going down.
if we don't review that on an annual basis and look at it and look at what the upcoming elections are, there's not gonna be money and funding for elections in the budget. So we may have to make the decision, different town administrator now than what we set it out, bring it back. And yes, the election budgets go up and down, but elections go up and down. And you would see it in the budget. So maybe it makes more sense to bring it back in, so you're funding it instead of trying to put some money aside and keep it there. That we do that.
Well, I think
the
it helps
idea
though
was
to have
to
something on
flatten
the
it.
side, because we do have,
A special election that-
well, and we're in the habit of having, 1, 2, 3 special elections a year for overrides. And, I know the select board at their recent meeting has said that they're not going to, do an override unless it's for a specific purpose. But, by law, they all have to have a specific purpose. And they bring, the override after override. So it is inevitable. I'm sure that there's a special election in our future. And, right now we have very limited budgetary resources available to handle that when we have to respond imminently to, because they could decide tomorrow we're calling an override, and, they have to give me 35 days notice. In order to get the ballot question in, and that could be it. We could have an election before
and
the end of the year.
expenses have gone up for elections with the, vote by mail
Yeah, right.
stuff. I mean, that's nothing to do with the town, that's an unfunded mandate.
No, but and then on top of it, next year, if in the April election, the question about select board size.
There could be a
There
special
could be
election.
another-
late
Exactly,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I hadn't thought of that, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, let's hope.
Be-
Let's hope.
Because if that passes, their quorum immediately changes to 5, so all 3 members would be required to conduct business.
Does it really? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good.
Even though there's nobody.
Yeah, you've
voted
already
in.
filling them, just like how, 6 of you are here tonight, let's just assume, you only had 6 members. If your membership suddenly changed to where you needed 6 to have that quorum, if one of you had to leave, that would still be, that would immediately make that change. So, as far as the open meeting law is concerned, their quorum is 5, because now that charter amendment per local option has taken effect.
Oh, I can't.
Yes, because
Mhm.
we did that in the charter,
Yeah.
that they could change it like that.
Okay, I wondered why, because I was thinking it had to go get approved by,
No.
Attorney General.
Not for that, the way it's written in the charter.
Yeah,
It
okay,
doesn't have to.
okay, thank you.
Wow, that was
I was
very
gonna say-
good, very good.
Happy to help.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
When do we do that 5 thing?
The vote is in April.
In April. We'll
Yeah,
do
it's-
it right down
It
here.
has to be part of the annual election, because everybody was put up, so April.
Okay.
Okay, then item 12 on the agenda, confirming the next meeting.
We did that.
Did that,
Yeah.
right?
November 12th, 6th, pending the validation of the TCAM with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then November 19th. And I don't have any.
Yeah, we have to keep an eye
Now, are
on
we
that.
The school presentation.
Are we gonna do that BBA thing again, or are we just gonna do follow-up and get some?
We probably,
We'll do the
we
same.
need to do something with the BBA, but we need to, I think there's 2 things we need to do. It's kind of like we need to see where the cuts were that we made from the initial
Oh,
one.
right.
But I also want to see, since this is the first time in the BBA, where all these numbers came from.
And
Basically,
Don, can we also ask,
so we,
can we have an income report?
Yes, we've
Because
asked
we
for
have no
that.
idea.
Yeah, it was asked for, again, because I couldn't get into the email. I will see if if it was responded to.
Yeah, I think
At the
that would be
time-
good. Where do we get that one from?
I had requested it from Nelson because I was doing it in regards to the FY 25 review. What we have the recap sheet, so we had the expectations of what the revenues were gonna be. And I said, what's the actuals?
Yeah.
To match with them, so that we could do an FY 25 comparison.
I'm getting tired. But the reality here is there isn't like, here's our income. There's no such document. Here's our income. I mean, there's documents that explain the sources of revenue. But the issue here isn't, oh, here's your income. Like you have a job and you get a W-2 when you get to do your taxes. No, the town gets revenue. They get grants, they get reimbursements, they get, there isn't like, the revenue is our taxes. And let me tell you, all you got to do is open the town report. It's in the town report for to give you for 2024 calendar year. Okay, it's not, and no, I know that's not up to date because we're in fiscal year 26 right now. But they're anticipated, you can go onto the website for some, well, not really. As they're getting ready to close the books, when we get there, you'll get more up to date. But you can't get much of the information right away. But if you're a FinCom member, you should know how to, and you should be jumping on these reports. It's looking at the cherry sheet that comes out. That's on the Department of Local Services, the DLS website. And they go through a couple of renditions of that in the spring to show us what we're going to get. And there's two parts of the cherry sheet, expenses and income. Yeah. So because there's some things we have to pay for, and then there are some things that we get, and some of those things are reimbursements. And some of those, in some of our departments, and we get paid for like, look, we have a lot of state-owned property. The state gives us money for that. And we get that money in the form of the cherry sheet in the spring. And we don't know exactly how much. I mean, somebody could sit there and figure it out, I suppose. But it shows up in the cherry sheet. And there's different reimbursements. And there's a number of things in our budget that aren't just plain old expenses. I'm going to say veteran services. Now that's just the veterans agent and the services, not the veterans agent salary. That's in the current budget, but there are veterans benefits that the veterans agent coordinates payment for. It's under chapter 115 of the Massachusetts General Laws. And with that, we have to budget. We were budgeting 75,000. For some reason that has come down drastically. I'm really concerned about that because I don't think we're providing services to our veterans like we should. It's really concerning me because this number should not be dropping. It should be going up. But not my job. The veterans benefits we budget for every year. But we don't get we get reimbursed for that next year. Not this year, but we have to put that money out and it has to be in the budget as we do it. So that's an expense, but then we have revenues. But it's not revenue, it's reimbursement that goes over last year. So you can't look at it, oh, we got income. I mean, it is, but it goes into the general fund. That's how it works. In order to help towns on this particular line item, the state is changing it this year that when veterans agents submit the paperwork to the state to get the money for veterans, and then every quarter, I think that the veterans agent probably has to submit a quarterly form of some kind, probably, unless the state is going to do it automatically. But they're starting this year to send the reimbursements to the town within the current fiscal year instead of putting it out as a reimbursement. And for the smaller towns, even smaller than us, the veterans benefits can be really, really adversely impact their budgets. So this is a help to all communities, but it would help us, even though I don't understand why we're not spending as much as we used to. I don't know what's going on, but and our veterans agent now doesn't have office hours. She's only doing by appointment. I don't understand that either, but I don't know. I know our previous veterans agent was working overtime. He was in his office more than the original time, but and I know we haven't lost that many veterans. We have 119 currently that are, never mind, I'm going into a different territory, but there are different things that reimburse. There isn't like, FinCom is just not going to get this sheet that says, here's our income. And it's going to be, you have to understand each of these categories and how they function within the town budget. That was part of my complaint with the alternate budget that they came up with last year, because it was missing the point on what some of these items were, how they worked. And so the FinCom people need to take all the class. They going to the ATFC annual meeting is a critical requirement for me to stay. It's also important to do all the videos that are on the DLS website that refer all, and if there's classes that are separate from that you can take them. And this is to anybody on the FinCom or anybody that even wants to be on the FinCom. All those things anyone can take. You do not have to be on a FinCom someplace. You have interest in how budgets work, watch those videos. And a lot of it would be like, what are they talking about? Well, you need to just divulge, I mean, not divulge, but immerse yourself into all of this stuff to get a handle on what the sources of this money is. But I can tell you with 100% certainty, there isn't a person in this room here that understands what they need to for what they're doing. There's nobody that really has a handle on this, and it's really it makes me sick. Anyways, okay.
Or what did we guess we were gonna get and what did we get? It's kind of like, so you start getting some sort of history and comparison.
But when it comes down to the bottom line, we gotta know exactly what we got.
We have to know.
The guess
Right.
doesn't count.
And one of the items that my mind thinking of, we'll get it. I want to talk more about what are the fees every department captures and gets, and what are the revenue streams? Where do they go?
Yeah,
On each one.
What do they get and what do they don't?
Right. It's kind of like, and once we know revenue streams, it's kind of like, we can capture that or identify, are there areas where we're doing a service that should be a charge service versus.
Oh, you mean for bringing money in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to overcharge or anything. I'm just saying, is there a service that, in other towns that are they charge for a service and we don't?
Could department heads give us input on that?
I think they can, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, I don't think there's a specific place you can go on our website and see all the fees from every department.
Just that?
I kind of think so. No,
No, I
it
think so.
was kind of like, wouldn't that be, a page?
And the fees for every department do not add up to what they're referring to as revenue. The fees this is not how that works. And they need to get out of that business. Don't even try to consider some of these things revenue or bother yourself with what departments are charging for certain fees. You're getting way in over your head when you can't even figure out the basic budget. The only concern I would have is, hey, are the department, like the zoning board, the ZBA, the planning board, the conservation, I would be supporting them to say, are your fees covering the expenses? And, which I know some of these boards did increase their fees because it was costing the town more money to provide the services that the permit fees and things were collecting. So they've upgraded them, and that would be just as a blanket statement, the FinCom would want to hope that any fees that are charged are covering, but the FinCom should not get into the weeds on trying to micromanage something they have no authority to micromanage. It just get away from me. Get out of my office. It would be my concern. Get away from me. So, but they need to be knowledgeable of what things are and all the different categories of the money moving around, but the level of detail that they're trying to do here is, I'm ill.
Town clerk, dog licenses, it's kind of like, and what all the fees are for the dog licenses.
But I think you do have by department, but you don't have a central page of all fees.
Right,
Yeah,
it's kind of like,
you go to the planning board, there's a fee schedule,
But the central board is where you would go. If you didn't know what department and you were looking for something,
right. Yeah,
you know,
it's
just referencing all these things.
right. It's kind of like that's the fees, and where's the revenue collected, and what's the path for getting deposited into the proper accounts?
That'd be-
So that's not for discussion for tonight.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that.
No.
An agenda item.
It's a great meeting. Thank you. Warren.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn at
I'll
9
second that.
o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Right.
2
hours.
hours, yeah, not too bad.
Thank you all.
Makes sense.
Okay, so we had a motion to adjourn, second.
Second.
Okay, all in
Good.
favor?
Aye.
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 Nobody, it's unanimous, we stand adjourned.
Okay, that's over. Oh my goodness. Somebody's still in here watching. Welcome aboard. We're at the end of the misery I had. But anyway, how long have I've been here? Almost 4 hours. I was hoping to knock this out in 2. I just had too much to say. I even had their video sped up a little bit. But I decided to do this video, which I know I'm upsetting people by it, because I just picked on the FinCom unmercifully. And sorry guys, but you needed it. I need to, you're into weeds, but you got to get more of a 50-foot or 100-foot, 1,000-foot view over the town's finances, not looking line by line and trying to question whether Carla drove too many miles somewhere and where'd she go. And we have to put a stop to this, and we need their clothing, everybody that's getting some kind of uniform allowance or reimbursement, they need to have the town's emblem embossed into their shoes. Please. That's kind of insane. And that is not your job. You need to look at the budget trends, and you can do a guesstimate. It's not even a guess. You can do an estimate on what a 5-year plan looks like. And I'm going to be doing these things on my own. You guys won't do it, I will. And as best I can with the information that I have available to me. And it's doable. I don't know. But you guys spent 2 hours on this meeting in areas that, what are you going to, all right, you just had a pitch session, line by line by line, but now what? What does that do for you? What does it do for the town to have had the pitch session that you had in this meeting? For what? What are the goals of those, that whatever it is? What did you get out of this? And what are you going to do with this? Anything? You're just going to bitch next month when you have another meeting? What do you see as the budget needs for next year? You should be able to answer that question. Gee, I'm concerned. I want to look at what's our debt picture. What percentage of our budget is filled by debt? How is that impacting our budget? Is these, because we have to make payments on our debt. How much of the payments in comparison to not just the payments, our total budget, however many millions that is, I forgot. I have to look. But what percentage of that number is composed of debt? And how can we manage that better? And I know things are being done and I don't like any of it because we're having trouble making the payments. Because I think it's too, I don't know, but bad decisions have been made for several years and we're going to pay the price. We're there. I mean, I think we're just about there, and it's going to be a slap in the face, and people are going to be blaming each other. And that is just, I mean, that's not going to solve the problem. But the FinCom should be looking at the, not problems, but solutions. And what is our budget going to look like? And what's our levy going to look like? And asking the assessor, what's our new growth looking like? And if you don't know why that's an important question, ask the assessor, she'll tell you. That's a big number that you need to know. I was thinking it was going to be higher than I'm hearing, that it might be a little bit lower than I was hoping. But new growth is a critical component of planning for the following year. And I mean, there's a lot of numbers we won't know until the books are closed and the tax rate is set. And that's okay when you're sitting out here, we're waiting, but there's nothing I can do about it. The waiting part, I gotta wait and hope and pray. And even the FinCom has limited control. It does have no control, but there's a lot of questions the FinCom should be asking. And it's not about what did Carla buy for her clothing? What did she, where did she go when she drove 100 miles last quarter? That's not, you don't have time for that. And you need to be able to come up with an idea that, gee, are we going to have to not, if we don't have an override, are we going to have to cut the budget? How much in order to make it? And there are budgetary items that you need to understand are not within your control. And the select board needs to also. And I'm kind of pissy about that, which everybody knows. But like the school budget, it's going up 4.5%, 5%. And there's nothing, you have to allow it. You can't say you can only go up 2.5% because they don't have control of some of the costs. And this is a statewide thing. You've got to figure those numbers in. And I know people don't want to hear it, but I'm pretty confident we really do need an override this coming year. And I have a very strong interest in following the things that the FinCom's not following, and the Board of Selectmen isn't either, to prove that. And it's important. I think it's important. In fact, I know it's important. It's not it's more than my opinion. It's just fact that I think we really need one. And we have to, I'm going to prove that we need one and communicate the budgetary concerns I have that are well documented. I have to put them together in a format that everybody can understand and provide the proof for it, and not say that things are wishy-washy. Over the last couple of years, I mean, this last year really pissed everybody off because the select board went into executive session to do the budget and everything was a big secret. And that is unacceptable and completely unacceptable. Even if they look foolish, you got to do it in open session. You got to do it in open session. But you got to do homework too. Don't just wait to come into your meetings and discuss things in the meeting. You have to go, each of you should be doing homework to develop some of your ideas and look up data, not wait till you get into a meeting and see what shows up in SharePoint. No, you got to do work in between and talk to the FinCom, even though they're not helpful either. But we need to be able to show to the townspeople where the money is and why am I saying the school budget is going to go up 4.5% to 5.5%? I know I'm moving the decimal point a little bit there, but that's okay. Close enough. And there's nothing we can do about it. We can't cut below that. And I'll prove it. And in an understandable way, and we really can't. And we just can't. And the highway expenses I anticipate are going to be up and need to go up more than what we think. I'm going to prove that. And then I just know that after the union contracts are signed, that's going to have a bump as well, which I suspect that it's not going to be a big bump based on who's doing the dealing. I really think that it's going to be reserved. I just hope they settle something, but I think an override would cover any bumps that we have. I think there's some staffing cuts or reductions. I'm going to say cuts or reductions. There's a little bit of both. They're two different things that we can return to functional and not explain excessive spending. I think providing full-fledged information to each other as well as the townspeople will go a long way to explaining that all the expenses, or expenses, I should say, across the board, and not just because it's Townsend spending money aimlessly. It's things have gone up in price everywhere. And I'm not just talking town government. I'm talking about the things we all buy, and the town has to purchase things. A lot of things have gone up in cost that the town requires to do its mission. And these, the restriction on 2.5%, it's not 2.5% of yours and my taxes. It's not 2.5%. Oh, each budget has to go. It's regarding the tax levy, the amount that can be raised. Our tax rate has been going down because we haven't upped our tax. We haven't upped it. Even though our individual taxes is inching up each year, it's because the value of our home goes up. It's not, the town's not willy-nilly increasing taxes. It's the tax rate has actually dropped. So it's not like town's not doing anything funny. They're doing all kinds of funny things, but that's not one of them. The taxes are actually dropping. So the things like the highway, the schools, there are things that we just can't cut anymore. And they're legitimate. I know there's been expenses, things that the select board has just, we need this, we want this, and we need, public safety. Let's throw everything at public safety, and the townspeople are just going to have to do an override because we want to just throw money over here without any explanation. And then all the things that ARPA paid for, now we're going to have to convert that over to the budget when the townspeople were very clear we didn't want that. So rather, this cat fight is probably not the right term, but was developed huge distrust that the select board just can't just decide to do crazy things. You have to explain why. Not, the townspeople just have to understand that this is how it's going to be. No, but we can explain why the budget is what it is, and what things are not a waste of money, and what things are really outside of the control of town government on the increases in spending. And I'm going to be doing more videos on finance, not just the finance committee. I know this was scathing. Cindy's attacking the FinCom, and I know I'm going to pay for this. I know I'm going to pay, but it's true. And this is a live video, and people are even online right now. But I know I'm gonna pay, but it's how it is. I had to call it out. I had to call this out and move forward from here, that somebody's got to do their homework. But I want to be able to explain to the townspeople on what's in their best interest. And hopefully both the select board and the FinCom hear me as well as I describe these things. And I'm happy to meet with each members of either board too as I do this, because I do think after really reviewing what's coming at us, I can't see us not getting an override, but we can't just say that behind closed doors and just put it on a ballot and say, we need it. No, but people have to understand why, and that it is not wasting money. And the problem is Proposition 2.5 at this point. Every community is going through this difficulty. And I don't want to spend any more time. I'm now at 4 hours on this video that wasn't going to go over 2. But there's a lot of things that have happened over the last 10 years with budgets, as with money, the cost of living changes that from COVID on to now. And now we've got inflation is higher now. If anybody's on government money, if you're a federal employee, retired or active, I know you're not getting paid right now, but when things get back, I hope they do. But military, I'm going to speak primarily retired. If you're getting retirement checks from the federal government, if you're getting retirement checks from the military, if you're getting VA disability, if you're getting Social Security retirement, if you're getting Social Security disability, they just announced what the percentage is for those people, and that's 2.8. That's a CPI, the Consumer Price Index. That impacts all of us. I mean, that is a compilation of the costs for each of us. So when we see those numbers and they're above 2.5, the cost of running this town is impacted by that too. But many of the aspects, that's a generalization, the CPI actually. Some things cost 10 times that. And some things go down. But our town is impacted by the same types of thing. And but anyway, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I am going to be doing a number of videos in sections, and then a whole big one. But I'm going to show, because I'm sitting here saying we need an override, but I can't give you a number right now. I can't give you the actual number, and that won't be able to be developed until the spring. And I don't want to see a special town meeting called to vote on an override in March. I don't want to see that happen again. That's a waste, because you don't even have the right number, and you don't need a preliminary. Wait to put it on the ballot. But we got to get the communication out, because that's the killer right there. Because people will vote yes at a town meeting, but not on the ballot. And it's different people voting in both times. So we need to get the explanation out starting now. And if I'm calling, those of you that have followed my opinions over the last couple of years, you know that I'm back and forth on an override, and mostly no, but in mostly this past time, it was because of communication, because I couldn't possibly trust what was coming out of the town hall. And it just was deceptive, deliberately so. And that's how it looked. Whether they meant it or not, I can't speak to, but it was. But I want to, whereas I've reviewed everything, you couldn't review anything before because it was kept behind closed doors. But now, I have access to some of this stuff. I'm reviewing it and saying we can't not have an override. So I'll be proving it to you over the next few months, next 4 or 5 months. And I think I'm going to have enough people come to my side, because I'm going to be able to prove it. And I can't do it by myself. The select board's going to have to join me. And They will. I suspect they will. They're gun shy right now because they've been beaten to death. No override. But I think they know that we need one, but they just have been failing on the ability to communicate that. They just want to trust us. We're the select board. Doesn't work. I know that personally. But I'm gonna put this together, and hopefully we'll have a number that you can trust. And that's my goal. Okay, I'm going to end this. We're over 4 hours. It is 10 o'clock, even with daylight saving. It's the real time, Eastern Standard Time. It's really 10 o'clock. This is now 7 minutes past my bedtime. Actually, I don't have a bedtime. I go to bed when I'm tired, and I'm getting tired. So anyway, this is it. I'm gonna have to make some edits for the beginning of this. I screwed up on the audio again. I had my mic off. So I'm going to have to delete some sections. So hopefully it'll make sense. All right. Good night, everybody. And thanks for everybody that I had people coming in and out all night. So hopefully somebody got something out of it. And hopefully the FinCom, you guys, yes, I beat you up tonight. And you deserve it. But I want you to I don't want you to take it to heart. I want you to take my message to heart, but not the beating. I didn't do it to hurt you. I did it because I just needed to tell you, because this is not helpful. You need to think about what you're doing and figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. You all have the FinCom handbook. I don't know when I was talking about that. I think I threw a fit on that, but I think my mic was shut off. I'm against you printing it. Okay. You're wasting my money. But anyway, you have the FinCom handbook. Read it. I don't think you've ever read it. Read it. And sometimes you have to read things 2 and 3 times. Read chapters that apply to what your concerns are. And I'm going on again. All right, I'm done. I'll do more videos and about the town finances, but not tonight. So good night, everybody. See you on the next one. Thanks for following me and putting up with all this. Good night.